Okay, Travis says we're ready to go at City Council meeting tonight. Thank you, everybody, for joining us online and in person to another council meeting in Spanish Fork. It looks like it's almost trying to be a winter council meeting outside, which would be weird, but we'll take it. So thanks for everybody joining us. We'll get started like we always do with a prayer and motivational message given by Councilman Euler, and then Councilwoman Beck will lead us in the pledge. Councilman Euler.
I'm just going to go ahead and say a prayer. Father in heaven, we are grateful tonight to be able to meet as a council and to be able to meet as residents and employees of Spanish Fork. We're so thankful to live where we do, to have the beautiful area surrounding us, and grateful, Father, for the good residents that live in Spanish Fork, those that are willing to serve and help in our community. We ask Thee to bless our first responders. We're grateful for them and the work that they do. Keep them protected as they serve our community. Father, we're grateful for the beauties around us. Help us to be responsible citizens, to be able to continue to serve and help where we can. Help us tonight as we make decisions that we can follow the Spirit and that we can make the correct decisions that will benefit those that live here. And we pray for these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Will you all please stand and repeat the pledge after me? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate that. We're going to go right to recognitions with some special guests tonight that have joined us in the council chambers. We'll go to Mr. Dale Robinson to introduce those good folks.
Okay. Bill, you just as well come up here while I talk about you. We have a familiar face amongst us today.
Thank you.
Hey, Mike. Hi, Bill. Appreciate Bill being here. He received an award from the Utah Community Forest Council, a Lifetime Achievement Award, and I'd like to read this program insert to you about Bill. In late 2024, Bill Bushman retired after decades of dedicated service to Spanish Fork City, where he championed arboriculture and responsible tree stewardship. Known throughout city government as the Tree Guy, Bill exemplified the values and mission of the Utah Community Forest Council through his advocacy and leadership. Bill's professional responsibilities were diverse, supervising grounds and building maintenance, yet he consistently advanced urban forestry initiatives. His efforts enabled Spanish Fork to implement key tools for modern tree management, including a tree inventory, approved city tree list, tree planting and pruning guides, updated tree ordinances, creation of a tree board, and Tree City USA recognition. He mentored colleagues towards skill development and ISA certified arborist achievement, strengthening the city's expertise. Under Bill's guidance, Spanish Fork hosted a Utah ISA chapter tree climbing competition, secured community forestry partnership grants, and piloted treatments for London plane tree health issues. His advocacy for the right tree in the right place combined personal observation with ongoing education, inspiring others through the Utah Community Forest Council sponsored events. Spanish Fork stands a model community for tree resource management thanks to Bill's persistence and vision. His legacy will continue to shape Utah's urban forestry practices for generations to come. So we wanted to take a minute and recognize Bill for this accomplishment and this award that he's been presented by the Utah Community Forest Council, and recognize him in front of all of you for the work that I know you already know he did. But we wanted to bring you here and tell you thanks again.
Thank you, brother.
You're awesome.
Feels good to be
We
here.
appreciate it.
I have to give a talk?
You have 2 minutes for the speech.
10-minute talk.
Yeah.
You don't have time for 10.
Okay. No, here's the thing. When I received this award, I realized it wasn't just about me. We have crews that do all the work. I just kind of point the finger and they do the work. And they've been fantastic. And we've had a lot of years. And the ones that have planted most of the trees have been the grade school, elementary school kids. Every year our Arbor Day would be a whole mess of elementary school kids, and they just had a blast planting those trees. So the reward really does go to the kids and the workers that have done so much to keep the trees trimmed and taken care of. But what an honor it's been to do my best to take care of the trees here in Spanish Fork. And we hope that they will continue to be well cared for, even though I've heard some rumors that we're going to lose some of them. So that makes me kind of sad, but maybe they've lived their life. Thank you. It's been a pleasure working for the city all these years, and it seems like the last year went by very, very rapidly. And so it's good to be retired, but it's good to be back and see everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate you so much.
Let's do a photo. Bill,
Yeah.
Dale.
Don't go too far.
The time right up here.
Grab your
you and
sweet wife
Sister
and bring
Bushman.
her up.
Yep.
You don't work for him anymore. You don't have to do anything he says.
Right here in the middle.
All right, ready? Okay, say trees. All right.
Thank you.
He's been practicing that all week.
See you. Thank you.
Have fun tonight.
You thought about that all night, haven't you?
A few minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Pretty good stuff. If you search the
No.
SFCN archives of those days of planting trees at all the elementaries, it is full of just Bill being there and directing the whole thing and making it happen. Such a fun time for the kids and us as elected officials that, those trees will be something that in retirement, certainly Bill should be able to look back on and say it was a huge benefit to our city and to those trees that'll outlast us all. So cool stuff. Thanks, Bill, for coming tonight, and we'll get you off to your next assignment tonight. Okay, we've got one more recognition too, unless anybody wanted to add anything about Mr. Bushman. We called him the Lorax. I know that's what Councilman Gordon called him when he was here. If there's anything else, we'll go to the next recognition that I think Mr. Pierce has for us.
Mayor, we had a miscommunication with our crew that was supposed to come, and with the holiday, it just got us off, I guess. So
Okay. Next time?
we'll catch you next time if that's okay.
Cool. Okay. We are teasing you for the next council meeting. That will be a cool recognition for a department, so make sure and join us then. Follow up to previous comments. Mr. Perrins, Manager Perrins, do we have anything on that agenda that we'd like to cover?
Yeah, Mayor, thank you. We've got two. First of all, perhaps maybe if you want to, from the last council meeting, there were two comments made, one regarding the SUVPS power line, another one regarding some traffic near and around a townhome development in a school. So Tyler, I think you're prepared to talk a little bit about that one. And then I don't know if you want to talk about the SUVPS one, or you want to do that maybe during your comments, but
Yeah, whatever. Yep,
okay, so you can take that one.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead with this one then.
Perfect.
All right. So, last council meeting, Mike Dayton came in and shared some experiences that he and some neighbors have had in his neighborhood. In this picture, you'll see on the top portion on the north there, American Leadership Academy, and then there's a neighborhood where you'll see some red lines that I've put on a map. So we had a great conversation. Mike came into our traffic safety committee meeting. We had quite a few members of the Spanish Fork team there that were able to help explain some of the different ways we've tried to help remedy this challenge over the years. And Dylan Muirbrook did a great job in leading that discussion. So this neighborhood that you can see of townhomes that was built recently now has a queue of vehicles that will queue up after and sometimes before school, usually after school to pick up their children. So as the committee visited, really long term, the best solution for this is if American Leadership Academy could change a few things as far as maybe staggering pickup times or creating some other options as far as where to pick up children. But that's another thing for another day. Short term, what the committee decided to try is, you can see the two red lines kind of in the middle of the screen there. That represents where we plan to paint the curb red so that there's no parking. Also along that southern portion, you can kind of see a green patch of grass that's in a little bit of a triangular shape with a playground there. And vehicles will queue up and just wait for their children. So not necessarily park, but just be stopped there. So the plan is to also, in addition to that red curb that'll be 30 feet from the intersection, which you can't park in that area anyway, we'll put signs up that say no stopping. So that the hope is that it will prevent people from queuing up in that area. And also for a period of time, and Cade can maybe speak to this better, Lieutenant Harding can speak to this better, but we'll also patrol that for a period of time, and we understand that we'll likely have to do that at the beginning of the school year and maybe periodically here and there throughout the school year. So the resident was really grateful. We also had another resident that used to live in that area and also still owns a townhome in that area come, and it seemed like it was a great effort between our residents and staff in trying to come up with a good solution. Anything, Lieutenant Harding, that you would add to that?
No, I think you've covered it pretty well. The idea is just that we're coordinating with the streets department so that when they get that painted and signage up, then we'll send some officers out to try to educate people on the new traffic pattern there, I guess, as far as no parking, and try to reduce some of the congestion in that neighborhood.
Cool. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Tyler, just to clarify, you said no stopping. You meant no parking?
Both. Yeah.
Where does a no stopping sign go? Like, is it on the front side of the stop sign or the back side of the stop sign?
It's kind of hard to see unless I zoomed in on this picture more, but I can't see what the address is there. Can you zoom in at all? I won't let you, will it, on a slide? So as you kind of come around that corner,
it'll be parallel with the curb.
Yeah, so in the Mo strip, the signs will be in the Mo strip right there.
Maybe the timing that you talked about, Tyler, because of it being a charter school, normal schools are staggered when they get out. High school gets out different than elementary and junior high and middle school. Do they get out all at the same time, every school?
That's what it sounds like, and I wasn't privy to the prior conversations, but do you know, Kate, is that the case? That they?
Yeah, so all of their age groups get out at the same time. So
Kate?
It's a huge influx of traffic.
Let go.
Oh, so it's a big influx of traffic.
Because all their kids are getting out at the same time.
Yeah, right.
And there are no busing or walking, really, because it's
spread out so much. Yeah. Okay. Any other things for Tyler or
Thank you for doing that.
Harding on that?
I'm curious, did we talk about making that a private drive? We did not. We didn't want to do that. I mean, they would be the homeowner's HOA's responsibility at that point, but
yeah, we probably most specifically we didn't talk about it because right now our ordinance doesn't allow for that.
No. Probably why you didn't.
Yeah.
Good idea. Not
Maybe
to
we'll
talk
just
about
stop right
something
there.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I guess Councilwoman Beck and I have been here long enough to know when that was just not a field. It was just dirt piled up there, an old asphalt plant or concrete plant or something. And so it didn't have a road that you could even access through here, much less homes. And now it's changed, and it's made some convenience for the school and an inconvenience for the new residents.
Right, and I can 100% understand why the residents are frustrated. So thank you to the staff who met with them and are trying to figure out some solutions, and hopefully ALA will step in and also offer some alternative options besides being right in the driveways and those inner routes.
Yeah, maybe it seems like there's some even space going into their area that maybe could be some queue lines, some extra queue lines or something. It sure seems like there's some solutions still maybe to come. And
who has those conversations with ALA? Is that our traffic department? Is that our police department? Is that somebody on staff, or is that the residents? Did we request that the residents have those conversations with the ALA? Where does that take place?
Seth, it sounds from what Dylan was saying, we've had conversations with them. I don't know how long it's been. Were you involved with any of those, or do you know who it was?
Historically, they have. You're asking, have any productive conversations going forward?
Yeah, it was mentioned that maybe we can address something with ALA doing staggered times. How does that conversation?
I think it should be the councilman, whoever lives closest,
or has a family member that lives closest.
So,
who's closest?
He's closer.
Oh,
I'll wait till they're being serious. What ALA has told us in the past is because they have students in 3rd grade, 8th grade, and 10th grade, having the schools get out at a staggered time isn't really all that helpful, because mom's coming to pick up all of the kids and she's now waiting for an hour to pick up all 3 of them. That said, they do recognize the impact that they're having, but we haven't had any really productive conversations with them for a long time. Candidly, I think if we were going to have really productive conversations, it would be best if we had some of you as elected officials as a part of that. I think that would help, perhaps more so than staff.
So is there a pretty big chance that they have no idea that someone came into council and is even...
I would imagine at this point, yeah. They know that this is an ongoing problem. They wouldn't. I don't think they would know that this or that is the specific issue of the day, but they know that they have challenges. Yeah.
The resident did share that they had contacted ALA, but hadn't really had.
That's right. Yeah. Thank you.
Had much of a response there.
Yeah. If we could somehow even get the resident that came in, like his. I don't know if we could send them the notes or talk to someone on staff. I think it would be helpful for someone on staff to understand that the city's now dealing with the problems over there, because they do let us know if they have problems as well.
Yeah, and any solution that ALA has is going to be, something that would probably adjust their layout, perhaps their parking lot or their landscaping as they convert this to a travel lane or whatever, right? And that's not how they think. And let me explain that comment. They're in the education business, not in the transportation business.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in order to really be productive, we'd have to have them be willing to participate at a significant level and commit their land and even their resources to help solve that problem. But then let us help them. Because we do have traffic people, and maybe even hiring a traffic consultant to help. That's just outside of what they normally do. Like, we're just educating people, and the problem's only for 15 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
Sounds like we need an engineer to go with you.
I'm in.
Yeah, I think if
like spray paint can out and paint all that curb red.
Just all of them?
Call it a day.
well, that solves the problem for that neighborhood.
And
doesn't solve it for
the challenge is there too.
Squeeze goes, right?
For sure.
Lieutenant Harding can speak to this, but even if we have the curb painted red, it sounds like it's technically not considered. If you're in the vehicle, you're not considered to be parked. And so even if we paint that whole thing red, it doesn't solve the issue completely. That's why those other signs that say no stopping are also important to put in there.
And you'll recall before this subdivision was built, so to what the mayor was reminiscing about a moment ago, we had residents come in expressing concern about being stopped out on Del Monte and the line that was back on Del Monte. This is a much safer place, inside of this S-curve of the neighborhood is a much safer place than out on Del Monte. But as we heard from the resident, it creates a different dynamic and now it's not safe for them in these circumstances. So it might be that this is a great place for them to queue, just not in, on the bends. But yeah, we can work on getting something with ALA, and if Shane or any of others as well want to participate, we can certainly do that. I think that could be really helpful.
Thank you.
All of us would love to.
Perfect.
Tyler, Kate, others, thank you for your work on that, and then we'll let you talk about the other one.
Yeah, the other one, similar area, but some residents that were here, the Basguards that were here last week, had a good meeting with them for an hour after council meeting regarding power lines that are in the similar area here, actually in front of Councilman Euler's house as well, that go up on this similar place and cross the church, and I think ALA right there, and keep going west through Leland. I had a good meeting with them. Again, we're part of SUVPS. We're a member there, and so we'll do as much as we can to continue to relay to those residents of what that entity is doing as we're a part of it. But basically, that entity has easements and replacing some poles through that area, and I think it was a productive conversation that we had with the residents, and answering some questions that we could answer, some that we couldn't, but some good discussion going on there too. So we'll update you as needed on that front. I don't know, Seth, anything else you'd add to that?
I think you did a great job, Mayor. The SUVPS has had some conversations directly with them, and I think it's probably worth highlighting. They had expressed frustrations like, will you meet with us? We want to meet in a public setting. And I think one thing the mayor really tried to identify for them is this is really personal, and where that pole goes and how that pole sits in the easement that's on your property really is an issue for you and an issue for that person, and not an issue for somebody else. And since then, they've had at least one meeting with SUVPS, and they've talked specifically about pole locations, and I think they've been able to identify a few different ways to do it that will enhance how it interacts with their property, how the changes interact with the properties that they own. So I think it's been really productive for them. And SUVPS, they told me they were grateful for the conversation that you'd had with them as well, Mayor.
Perfect. Okay, thank you for that follow-up too, and thank you for residents coming to our meetings and asking questions and meeting with us. If there's no other follow-up to comments from the previous council meeting, we'll go to public comments before we go to council comments. Anybody from the public that's here to address the mayor and council, please feel free to come on up and state your name. Yes, Mr. Paxman, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. My name is Isaac Paxman, and I am running for county commissioner, and wanted to just speak to you for a bit about that. Great to have the First Amendment and for you to allow me to do this. It's a privilege to be here. 1852 is when Isaac and my family first came to Spanish Fork, across the plains, and came here. Isaac Brockbank, but descend from him. My grandparents and aunt are buried here in the cemetery. And although I've never lived here, I've felt some connection because of my roots here. And also, just want to say, I'm sitting here thinking, I think this is maybe one of the most respected. I think this is one of the most respected city organizations in the state. Certainly, your city manager, one of the most respected in the state by far. This guy's head and shoulders above so many. And the elected officials here, I know several of you, and just a quality group, so I hope everybody appreciates what you have here. I've been privileged to work for the last 8 years in local government, take on some regional assignments. I think people have seen that I've been kind of regionally focused, whether it's fighting for something of the legislature or dealing with a state mandate or a project. Willing to work, willing to show people the respect that I know they deserve, and some good things have happened. So it's been a privilege to do it. Currently working up at the state, and yet a number of people, including Commissioner Brandon Gordon, encouraged me to do this. That was a real honor. He's one of your Spanish Fork former city council members, but saying, Isaac, 100%, please do this. I'll support you. And so with that, I was just thinking, sitting there, when I was a teenager, I went through a transformative experience. And I don't know about you, but for me, choosing to run for political office has been a transformative experience. When I was a teenager, I was called by the police. I had reported some gang violence, and they said, we have the gang members. They're under the bridge over here. Can you get yourself down here and identify the three that did it? And I had to think a lot about that. And I truly thought I would die. I really did. I thought this was it. And somehow found myself getting in the car, being escorted over there, standing, looking at a group of at least this many people, and going like this. And one of them then, who I didn't point out, coming and looking at me square in the eye. And I was transformed by that because I hadn't been tested before. And now I was tested. Am I going to put the community good ahead of my own well-being? And I somehow chose that. And this feels a little bit reminiscent of it. I'm not anxious to have rocks thrown at me for my decisions. I know how hard this work is, but I feel it's the right thing to do, so I'm privileged to do it and humbly ask your support.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Yes, sir.
Hello, I'm Greg Cronin. I actually am a resident in Provo, but looking at some property here in Spanish Fork. I've been meeting with some of your individual staff members and had a delightful experience. I'm the director of real estate for UVU for education, and we study cities and we do things like that. And what he said, I will actually say is true. I've been in about 9 cities I've worked doing different things, but you do have a very good system to be able to work within and understand your town. So thank you very much. But this was my fastest way to introduce myself. I did not know I was going to do this. I was just driving back to Provo, and I'm like, wait a minute, it's Tuesday night. Most cities meet on Tuesday night. I used to be one of you in Clinton, Mississippi was where I was a city councilman and ran for mayor, so I've been in this world. But the public comment is that I have put under contract the Gail Harverson farm of the river bottoms. I sent Stacy an email. He probably got that. But I just want to make myself available. That's it. I'm going to continue to work through the normal processes with your staff and everybody like that, talk about what's going on. But I want to make myself genuinely available to not only you, but anyone in this town that would like to talk about the river bottoms and about what they would like to have and what they'd like to see. My heart is with community interaction, the ability for people to experience things together in community. I think that offers a lot in that area to be a community asset. So it's something that I hold very dear. Just to let you know, on a bowling alley and a swim and tennis racket club, because they bring people together of all ages to enjoy each other. I couldn't afford a tennis court, so I built 8, invited everyone else to come and enjoy it with me. So we made it a community thing in the middle of a neighborhood, which used to be an HOA, but now it's a thriving part of the community right there in the middle. So I do care about it. I care about home ownership. I care about equity staking. I care about our next generation having a place within our communities. I believe that we can make that happen. I think that this property can be a part of that. I just introduce that to you. I'll leave it with you. My name's Greg Cronin. You're welcome to step by, say hi to me. If you'd like a conversation, you're welcome to invite one. I'll invite you. But like I said, I'll continue to work with your staff. It's been wonderful thus far, and we'll continue. So just want to make that introduction to you. Thank you very much.
It's great. Thank you.
Any questions for you? Good? All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Great accent.
Anyone else from the public? It's a hard accent to follow there, Greg. It's a pretty good accent to bring to our council meeting. Okay, thank you for public comments. We'll now go to council comments, and we'll start on Councilman Marshall's end and end over there on Councilman Took's end, if that's all right. Councilman Marshall.
Thank you. I think it's the first time I've started in 4 years.
I know. You're welcome.
I don't know if I like this.
It's the last time, too.
I usually write them as Jesse goes on and on and on. I don't have a lot. Just one. I want to thank the mayor, the council, and Seth for the dialogue about the Veterans Memorial rehabilitation. I appreciate the dialogue, the comments. I'm looking forward to a future council meeting where we get to hopefully help move forward a donation to that organization to help clean up that memorial up there at the cemetery. I know the Veterans Council is looking forward to that as well. They're excited about shaping that up into a place that they're proud of, and they are 100% happy to take the maintenance from this point forward. They know that over the years they have been somewhat reluctant to do so, but they're looking for a fresh start, and they're very excited about that fresh opportunity. So thank you for that. Besides that, I don't have any other comments.
Perfect. Councilwoman Beck.
Well, I didn't know if I would say anything about the Valentine's deliveries that we did, because if one of you did, I would skip it, but I'm first, so now maybe we all don't have to repeat ourselves. But on Friday, the day before Valentine's, the mayor and council were able to go to 4 of the high schools here in Spanish Fork and deliver Valentine's, and I believe this is like our 5th year, a tradition that Mayor Mendenhall started when he became mayor after one of the seniors at Spanish Fork High School started delivering Valentine's to all the students. 1 year after they had a trying year in their class, and he wanted everyone to feel loved. So we've continued to do that. Do you have any photos, Jack? But I think you were showing them beforehand as well. I want to thank Pete Hansen. He really oversees that. I don't know that we would really get much done without him. He videos it. He comes up with the theme. It was Smile this year, and he makes the card, designs it, puts a QR code on for all of the kids to watch a message, and had a bingo game. So thanks, Pete Hansen. Thank you to the Youth City Council for helping getting everything put together too. That's a lot of work, and it was a fun time. And then a couple Saturdays ago, the library had a big event. It was Take Your Child to the Library Day. 600 people were able to come. Big event. They had a movie. They had what they called a baby shower. So residents brought in clothes that they no longer needed, formula bottles, toys, books, just dropped it off. And then other residents came in and was just able to take whatever they needed. And I was able to sit in that room, and it was just really cool. You would think that maybe since it was free, people would just come in and grab and hoard, and no one did. We started saying, hey, this is all going to be donated to DI or somewhere if you don't take what you need. And they were just like, are you sure? I don't want to take too much. So it was just a really cool day. And then the halls upstairs in the corridor up here and downstairs were just full of different businesses, nonprofits, educating all of the residents of different ways they can help them, from growing a garden to health insurance, just a lot of different things. So it was a good event. And starting in March, the library will offer foods for fines all the time. So if you have fines and would rather just bring in a can of food, we'll donate that to Tabitha's Way. We're going to start doing that moving forward. So that's all I have.
So cool. Thank you, Councilwoman Beck. Appreciate that. I'll do my council comment before getting to Kevin and just piggyback up on the Valentine's. I think it was KSL that picked that up. Is that right? Kudos to them. It sounds like they tracked down our original maker of that event, Sterling. Sterling. Yeah. So they had some quotes from Sterling that sounded like they were from today, and that Sterling was excited that we had kept that going. And so kudos to them for picking that up and then following up with the original creator of this, that we're keeping that tradition going. I thought that was pretty cool. Sounds like he's a junior in college now or something up at Utah State. Yeah, so very cool. I got Miss Taylor Took in there as well as a quote. The Youth City Council, and I echo that, Stacy. Pete Hansen and his passion for this, and our help with our own Youth City Council. That Jesse, I think you're still on that now, and just such a team effort to continue this tradition going, and I think it's cool to see in our high schools. And so thank you all for taking the time to do that, and many players that are making that a tradition in Spanish Fork. So very cool. Okay, Councilman Euler.
My turn.
Yep.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank again the Youth City Council also for helping out with the seniors Valentine dinner that they had Friday night. They're always great to jump in and help serve and help dance with some of those seniors that are looking for somebody to dance with. So thank you to the Youth City Council. Besides that, I don't have any additional comments, but I am looking for maybe some direction or guidance from staff. And I'm not looking for maybe an answer tonight, but maybe put it on your radar. The Fit City Center and the Senior Center have now been open for a few months, and every time I go, and I love going, I can't help it, but somebody comes up to me and has a suggestion to make. Something that they think would make it better or improve it, and so I try and take those down. Before I do that, the first thing I tell them is to have you talked to the front desk, or have you gone and found the QR code and submitted it online? Many of them have said that they have, some of them multiple times, but that they just haven't heard back from anything. So I guess the request or question I have is if I've got suggestions that are given to me, who is best to give those to? And as residents submit suggestions and ideas, sounds like some of them are online, how are they getting feedback or knowing whether those suggestions are being considered, or if they're being worked on, or if there's a reason why those suggestions just won't work? How are we getting that feedback to the residents when they make those suggestions? So that's the request I have, just something to get a little input on at some point in the future. Thank you, Mayor.
Dale, you want to follow up on that, or you want to?
Well, yeah, I mean, I will follow up on it, and we do love to get feedback, and I will follow up and find out how they're following through with the QR code things, because I don't know where those are falling right now.
Okay.
Just continue to be patient with us, because we will give you a response. We're only 6 weeks into this or so now, so yeah. We'll follow up on them, but I'll get back to you once I have some more definitive answers. But we do want that feedback for positive or negative. And keep in mind, we're not going to be able to accommodate everybody's request, but we certainly want to take those that make sense and are logical to us and will benefit our operation. We want to have those so that we can act on them.
Perfect. Thank you, Dale. And some of those we have seen, like the changes they're making at the Senior Center entry, some of the clocks that they've put on the wall. So things are definitely moving along. So we appreciate those changes that are taking place. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Probably a record attendance of the Valentine's.
I wasn't there because we had another commitment, but my mom and dad were there for the very first time. They took my Uncle Jimmy, and he absolutely loved dancing. So my mom got some video. It was a great event, and bragged about how good the food was.
Perfect. Thank you, Councilman Oyer. Councilman Cardin.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few things. See how long I can go for Shane. Had an airport board meeting a couple weeks ago with Councilwoman Beck, and we have been talking about landing fees continually for the last little bit. Just maybe a little history: as we instituted landing fees last summer for the first time, those bills started to come out. We found that those were disproportionately, wow, I can't speak today, affecting certain pilots rather than others in a way that wasn't making sense. And so this group will see a suggestion or a recommendation from the airport board here in a future council meeting. I think next council meeting, or is it tonight? It's tonight.
It's with the rates item.
Okay. But so I'm giving a little sneak peek. Sorry about that. Maybe taking away some time later. But one of the reasons we're doing that is to ensure that we're being active as an airport board and as a city to make sure that we're doing those correctly. So for those pilots that are probably not listening to City Council tonight, if you have recommendations, please come to the airport board and let them know what you're seeing, what's going on down there. If you haven't been down to the airport, go check it out. It is awesome, and it just continues to get bigger. And one other thing about that is we found out that we have been approved for to start the process of getting a tower down at the airport. Also found out that there's some funding options that could potentially be there for us, where the federal government will help pay for the building and potentially the operation. And so just a lot of cool things that are going to help down there, and also to make it safer. That's one of our big hopes. Other council or another board I was able to attend was our Arts Council. They wanted me to remind everyone that this, at the end of this month, is the Wizard of Oz that our youth theater will be doing. That will be I have the wrong dates, I'm sorry. It is February 23rd through March 3rd. Yes. And so tickets are available on SF City Tix. And then with that, one other thing that you may be interested in is that the city is going to be in charge of our Easter egg hunt going forward starting this year. It was the city, the Chamber of Commerce that was doing that before, but we are taking that back. Along with the fee structure, we'll talk about that again later, but there are some sponsorship opportunities if people are interested in sponsoring certain things with the Easter egg hunt. So make sure to look at that. Last thing that I have is a couple weeks ago, I don't know if it was 2 weeks ago, we were down at the Fit City Center and we had a region swim meet happening there. That was cool. I don't know if anybody got a chance to see that, but it was packed. Every bleacher seat, you would have thought we didn't build a big competition pool because there was literally no room for them.
Don't save seats; you'll make people upset. I've heard.
Yeah, it was crazy, but it was awesome to see, and awesome to see some of the pictures of the winners and kids celebrating and having a good time, and also all the people working out, kind of geeking out over it and watching it. It was pretty cool to see.
It was awesome.
And I guess I lied. There's one last thing. The legislative session is still going. We have until March 6th. They are on pace to break records. Whether that's good or bad, we can find out later, I guess. But Seth may talk about that later. So if you do have any questions or concerns that you're seeing, please reach out to our representatives. I want to thank them for listening to us. They do call, text back when we have reached out about concerns that we're seeing. So if you have concerns that you're hearing in whether it's media stuff or whether it's just bills that you have interest in, reach out to our representatives. They are listening to you. That's all I got, Mayor.
Perfect. Thank you, Councilman Cardin. Appreciate that. Councilman Took.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Spanish Fork. It's nice to be with you all tonight. I have just a couple items for you. First off, the Miss Spanish Fork pageant's coming up. It's exciting. We had kind of a slow enrollment or sign up at first, but now we have 8 young ladies who will be competing on April 4th at 7 o'clock p.m. at Spanish Fork High School, just down the street. So we'd love your support. Buy tickets on the website, our Spanish Fork City site. You can get more information about that, but we'd love all the support possible. We have the Little Miss pageant as well. So again, that's April 4th at 7 p.m. Exciting times with those events coming up. And then also this last week we had the Chamber of Commerce board meeting here just next door one morning, and it was great. We heard from Seth Sorensen, the Nebo School District representative, the communications guy, if you will, and he talked about how enrollment's down right now with Nebo School District and how their funding's based solely on enrollment, and so therefore they're making a lot of adjustments and changes right now to accommodate. So it's an up and down sort of a thing, but for this next year enrollment will be down. So it was interesting to learn about how Nebo School District works and how they accommodate something like this. And then they have a lot of people retiring as well, teachers and principals, and so a lot of shifting and shuffling of positions within Nebo School District. So that was fascinating to learn about that. It's a big part of our community. So that's one thing. A couple other takeaways from the Chamber of Commerce I'd like to share with you. The first one is we have the noon networking luncheon coming up this Thursday on the 19th. It'll be at the Hampton Inn, and lunch will be provided by J-Dogs this time, so that'll be great. That's again on the 19th, the noon networking lunch. And then last item here is the Bills and Bagels legislative question and answer on February 28th at 7:30 a.m. And that will be hosted at the Nebo School District boardroom just down the street here south. So again, that's on the 28th at 7:30 for the legislative Q&A. We've talked a little bit about that tonight, so that'll be a good time. If you'd like to join, you're welcome. So those are the remaining major activities with the Chamber of Commerce for the month, and that's all that I have, Mayor.
Perfect. Thank you, Councilman Took. Okay, I lied. I have one more thing that I'll mention, but it's quick. SF Spanish Fork Dons Wrestling competed in the state championship over this last weekend. It's near and dear to a lot of people's hearts in Spanish Fork. Quite the history and heritage there. Wrestling's a weird one in that it's a team sport where you add up all the points. Councilman Euler could give us a 20-minute dissertation on that, but we won't have it tonight. But nonetheless, what you should know is the Dons do have 3 individual state champions. even though we fell just short of being an overall team state champion, right?
Yep.
So
they did. It's a very difficult thing to three-peat in any sport at any level. And Spanish Fork gave it their all. Came, I think, maybe two matches short of, had they won two more championship matches, then they would have been state champs again this year as a team. But yeah, celebrate the three individuals that were state champs at their own weight classes, and we've got a great team at Spanish Fork.
We'll get those names and invite them to come be recognized in front of the council like we do state champs. But those three young men sure did well, and I know they're repeat. Calling them repeat offenders, that's not the right word, right, Lieutenant Harding? That would be a different thing. Repeat winners, some of them. So we'll honor them in a future council meeting, and congrats on another great year to the Dons. Okay, staff reports. Manager Perrins.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This last week, a handful of staff had an opportunity to interact with a delegation from a city in the Ukraine, Novovorontsovka. And if you want to know how that's spelled, it's got a lot of O's and V's in it. But we were asked by the city of West Jordan who was facilitating them coming around to a few different cities to learn a few different things. We were asked to participate in this. I think speaking just for myself, Tyler, you can chime in here as well. I was not prepared for what I would get from the conversation that we had with the folks from this tiny little town in the Ukraine. They are located 5 kilometers from the border of Russia. And so they are literally a little tiny drone away, flight path away from bombs being flown into their town, dropped into somebody's house and killing people. And so they came to the United States to learn how to build and rebuild their community, which is a very small agrarian community. Tyler, tell us a little bit maybe more about them, and then I'm going to share with you some of the things that they gave us.
They were so Seth was there, Dell and Dave Anderson all helped with this. They had a lot of questions on how to rebuild their community. So for 7 months, their community was under Russian military occupation, and they didn't have this gentleman on the right with the basketball. There's a lot of stories about him where he risked his life to get people out of the community to save their lives, and then also went back into the community to try to save resources and find ways to rebuild their city after they had a dam that was destroyed that held as much water as the Great Salt Lake, and it totally decimated their city. They didn't have water sources. They're very innovative, and they were able to find some water resources by looking at old maps and finding where these abandoned wells were. And so they came to the United States in an attempt to try to figure out how can we best rebuild our community. And it was really humbling because I think all of us that were there went into the conversations having an idea of what we thought we would present. And as I shared things about communications and talked about gatherings like we have in Spanish Fork with hundreds of volunteers, and they made a comment like, if we have 5 or more of us gathered in the same area, there's a very high likelihood that there's going to be a drone with a bomb attached that's just going to blow us all up. So we had to kind of change our approach. And as we tried to change our approach, I love their hope and their faith, because they shared, don't change what you're telling us. We want to rebuild, and when we're able to rebuild, we want to build better. So keep sharing what you're sharing. And it was just really inspiring. One other quick story. The gentleman with the basketball, he's loved the sport since he was young. I think he was like 30, late 30s. And he had never been to an NBA basketball game. And the Utah Jazz, if any of you can name the player on the Jazz from Ukraine, I will give you like $10. I don't know the Jazz players anymore. I used to. Anyway, there's a player on the Jazz actually from Ukraine, and he got to go and meet him and said he fulfilled his childhood dream. I asked him how many courts they had in his community. He said they used to have 6 and now they have 0, and he's trying to come up with funding to rebuild it, but their money is more needed in hospitals right now and other things that the community runs. And so just really inspiring to see what they're trying to do to rebuild.
So as Tyler was discussing, like Dale is outlining how to build a successful community gathering, and you hear him say, well, we can't have more than 5 people get together. Or he said it this way, he's like, or we'll have 5 casualties. Tyler was talking about communications, and well, you use social media in this way, and he said, what do you do about the bots? And I think we'd use the word troll in terms of how our experience is. And he's like, no. I mean the bots that the enemy deploys to, when we make a post on a social media site, there are immediately 300 negative comments that are created by probably AI bots, and then they're all liked, so they get to the top, and they start to spread rumors about how I did something bad and totally off topic, and we're like, we don't know how to do that. Like, I don't know how to deal with that. So then we said, well, why don't you just have like nightly meetings or something? Well, we can't do that. Like, I don't know. Well, I got nothing. Right? It was so incredible. So they have this monument, and so if you can show the original image of the monument, they have this monument in Novorossiysk that they're an agrarian place. They do watermelons, and they gave us this mayor, this shadow box, this light box. They have our logo connected with their logo, their coat of arms. But this image is old, somewhat historical, and that's a monument that they do watermelons. With the Russian occupation, this is how the monument now looks today. And it's still there, but you can see the pockmarks on it. It's now, but it's still there. For them, this is becoming a symbol of hope and a symbol of resilience, a symbol of perseverance, because it's still there. And they do great work with watermelons, and they're trying really hard to make good from the bad that they have. So they shared this shadow box with us, and then they gave us this candle. And I'm going to hand this down. Smell it, look at it. You'll notice that it looks like a watermelon from the top and from the sides. Super cool, certainly very inventive. Then, being an agrarian community, they said, we want to give you something from the ground, something that is us. And I was expecting, some dirt or watermelon or something. But instead, they gave us this. What that is, what you're holding there, is a piece of shrapnel from a bomb that has detonated. And the mayor said, these pieces of shrapnel are everywhere. And when we find one on the ground, which is not hard to do, we pick it up. Because every one of those pieces of shrapnel that's on the ground is not in somebody. And it didn't kill somebody or maim somebody. And we think that's great. And so we're grateful that we can find this piece of shrapnel on the ground. And so now this is a part of our land, it's a part of who we are, and nobody died from that piece of shrapnel. And so we're really happy. And I think as we sat there listening to that, perspective on how to deal with challenges, it really made the problems that we deal with on a daily basis extremely small. And as I said, when we began talking about this, we went in thinking that we would be able to share some very lofty, wonderful things for them to perhaps be able to take back. And instead, I think all of us were blessed with a feeling of gratitude for what we have, and a feeling of awe and wonder for what human nature can do, and how well these folks are fighting to stay alive and to rebuild their place, their sense of home. So anyways,
how did they end up in Spanish Fork?
Well, all good things end up in Spanish Fork, right?
Good answer.
Yeah. Genuinely, like when we were done, I called the mayor, I said, I need to apologize. You guys should have been a part of this, and you're going to beat me up for not inviting you. We didn't expect what we experienced. Yeah. We thought it would be something very different. The city attorney from West Jordan somehow has a connection to the aid entity that was coordinating their trip here. And so he was finding different cities in the state that could help talk about certain topics. And so they ended up in Bountiful, West Jordan, Nephi, and here, maybe one other city. I can't remember the other one. And they were looking for, we'll call it, subject matter experts on some topics. And they wanted us to talk about community development and recreation. They did some other things in the other towns. So it was not repetitive. But, these guys will talk about this topic, and those guys will talk about some other topic. And, most of you know that we've historically hosted fellows here, and so inviting guests from Europe to come and talk about things Spanish Fork is certainly comfortable for us. So we didn't really blink an eye at doing that. Yeah.
That's very cool.
It was really cool. Yeah. That candle's really neat, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then you didn't expect that out of this piece of shrapnel, right?
It's pretty cool.
It was very, very incredible.
Makes me want to send some staff over there and repaint that monument and pay for it.
Yeah, right? So, Corey, go to the image. Go to the image of the group from the group. Yeah. So the tall gentleman to the left of Dave, not Dave Anderson, but the other guy, he is their, we'll call him public works director. And he said that they'll have a pipe in the ground that is broken and they need to fix it. And it will take them days to fix it. And they know this is a 4-hour fix. But they will go out and they will start to work on it, and they'll start to see the different signs of drone activity in the area, and they have to disperse. And then a few hours later, they can come back and start working on it again, and then they'll get those signs that the drones are coming, and then they'll disperse. And it takes them days to do this repair project because they can't do it in any kind of quantity of time. Because again, and they're not, like when they said drones, I was thinking like, the Predator type. No, it's like my remote control type that they just hook up with dummy bombs, and they'll literally fly them. If your front door's open and they're in the area, they'll just fly into the house and blow up your house. Honestly, as I looked at some images and as we talked with them, it felt like a dystopian movie, is what it really felt like. But the mayor that was here with that basketball, when he walked into the center, we brought a basketball out, and he just lit up. Can we just go play? And he's like, we don't really even need to talk about anything. Can we just play? And I was so impressed with him, but he was terrible at basketball. Right? Just absolutely terrible. But who cares? He, for a moment, was not in a war, and just could be happy. And that was really cool to see. And yeah, Tyler and I were just shagging balls for him, just helping him play for a while, and it was really, really cool. All right. I really don't want to shift gears to the legislative session. That's a bummer of a topic.
Bad politics to worse bad politics? I don't know. Just before you move on,
please.
It's going to sound very political, but when someone brings that war this close to home, it reminds me of a commitment that an elected official made about a year and a half ago to stop that war that didn't happen. And we're not holding accountable to any of that. Not him, not our elected, not our federal delegation, none of them.
and it's time. Like, that's got an end, and there's a path forward, and we're not doing our job as citizens of the United States of holding our elected officials accountable to that kind of thing. Thanks.
Yeah. It sucks. War sucks.
Yeah.
There are a lot of bills going on. So as Councilman Cardin mentioned, there is a record number of bills written. It remains yet to be seen if there will be a record number of bills passed, and time will tell if either of those are good. So record is not necessarily like we're seeing set new records in the Olympics that are always great accomplishments. These aren't necessarily great accomplishments. About a week and a half ago, we started talking about HB 501, which we've never had an HB 501 before the middle of the session. So having a House bill numbered in the 500s was certainly evidence of record-breaking numbers of bills. HB 501 was going to tell us that we had to raise our water rates to 3% of our median adjusted gross income. What? Yeah. It was going to mandate that cities raise their water rates to 3% of our median adjusted gross income. How is water and income in the same conversation? Just for maybe fun, as I did the math on the bill, our water rates would need to be raised to collect $37.5 million. Today,
annually?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Today, our water between PI and drinking, I think, is around $15 million. So more than doubling, and it doesn't include PI. So it'd be a triple or quadruple of our rates, so that we could handle the future projects required. It may be necessary for us to raise our water rates. I'm not sure that 3% of AGI is the right approach. We were able to adjust that bill and make it voluntary. So where the bill will probably go is if we want to go get funds from the state in any way, we will have to be at that 3% of AGI in order to qualify for state grants in the water space. So it probably means that we won't be going to the state for water grants in the future. That's my interpretation of things. I'm not sure that you're ready to raise rates to 3% of the adjusted gross income. But my comment in one of the meetings was if we adjust our rates to 3% of the adjusted gross income, we won't need any money from the state. We will have plenty of money to do all that we need with water and then some. So that's probably not a great approach. House Bill 425 is the transportation utility fee bill. That's been in the legislature, I think, this is the third year. And it's probably going to be a consensus bill at this point. We'll see where that goes. This bill is not going to mandate that there be transportation utility fees, but will provide the framework if a city wants to have a transportation utility fee. But this is the structure that you will follow to do that. Transportation utility fees have been deemed legal through the court process, and this would just codify how that happens if a city wants to have a transportation fee, so that there aren't dozens of different types of fee structures or study types out there. It'll make it feel a lot like an impact fee process. There are a number of bills, and by a number I mean many, bills in the property tax space. Councilman Cardin, I think you've been listening to a lot of these discussions. Any thoughts you have on what you're hearing in terms of property tax bills?
No, there's just a lot of stuff out there trying to make it more transparent, but in the long run making it in some ways less transparent and a little bit more convoluted on how things are going to happen. And that's the hard part about there's so many bills around it that one will try to do one thing and the other is doing maybe the exact opposite in a different way.
Yeah.
And so it's been hard to kind of keep track, but also to make sure that we're doing what's right for citizens, because we up here, we don't want to be non-transparent. We want to be as transparent as possible, especially when it comes to taxes, because taxes is something that none of us like, but it is becoming a little bit convoluted.
Yeah, and generally speaking, cities are the least hated taxing entity, if that's some kind of prize that we can win. We're the least hated taxing entity. At the same time, cities are probably the one local government that uses property tax for operations more so than any other group. School district is funded in large part by property tax, but most of their operations comes from their weighted pupil unit, and then a lot of their construction comes from property tax. So that's not operations, that's capital. There are special districts that get their money from property tax, but most special districts span many cities, and so their property tax rates span multiple cities, and so they aren't as dependent on one small city's boundary. We are solely funded, not solely funded, but we receive property tax only from within our boundaries. One of the challenges that, some of the topics are limiting a city's ability to increase property tax no more than 5% in a given year. That's one that's been talked about. Another topic has been to change the notice structure, add additional hearings. I think what we've been focused on as we've worked on different property tax bills is how can we make property tax more understandable and more transparent. As we've had some truth and taxation hearings here, I think we've all experienced the confusion that can happen when rates get conflated and people think that our 5% or 10% or whatever percent increase is an increase on the whole bill and not just on the city's portion, as small or as large as that may be. So that's been a major push this year in the legislative space.
How much money do we collect from property tax?
Yeah, thank you.
Less than $4 million?
About 5.5, I think it is our property tax.
5.5, several bills to try to figure out whether it should go up or down or limited or whatever. And in one bill, there was a mandatory $37 million fee.
Yeah.
But it's a fee.
Yeah.
And so the same elected officials are in one committee saying, yes, let's impose a $37 million fee to the citizens of Spanish Fork, but let's really beat up a $5.5 million funding stream that we use to fill potholes and pay for police and EMS and many services that the city provides. It's just
disjointed.
So disjointed. I just don't understand the logic between the two committees.
Yep. Welcome to.
I'm off myself.
No. Welcome to some of the reality, right? Yeah. I have no response to that. I simply agree.
I'm not asking for one. I put you in a weird spot.
No, it's not a weird spot. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Property tax is not liked. I think a comment that I'll hear in the circles that I'm in is, I own my home, but yet I could still lose it because I don't pay my property taxes. And so I think we all understand the reality of that. But at the same time, there are certain services that municipalities especially are expected to provide, dare I say, required to provide, right, in terms of public safety. And property tax is the way, or at least currently the way, the legislature has given us to in part fund those. So to your point, we generate $5.5 million in property taxes, but I've got a handful of residents here in the audience. I don't know if any of you want to venture a guess on how much money we spend on police in a year. You don't have to answer it, but if anybody wants to shoot a number, just shoot it out there. You mouthed something. What was that? Be brave. 7 million. She's not too far off. 9. Not bad. 5.5 in property tax, 9 just for police. Just for police. And then if you throw in the fire and EMS, anybody want to venture a guess for fire and EMS? You want to go for 2? Nailed it. Just about a little bit more than $8 million. So add those two up, right? You're over $15 million just for fire and EMS and police. And we generate $5.5 million in property taxes, right? So you have to get revenue from somewhere else. And if we could say, well, we're just not going to do that. And somebody might say, well, don't do those other things. All right, well, let's shut down the library and all of the great things that we're doing there, right? So yeah, it's a tough balance that we try to figure out. So I think our guiding principles have been how do we talk about property tax in a transparent and meaningfully educated way so that we can help people to understand how property tax works. The truth in taxation structure, which is a phrase that we use a lot, that structure I will put up against any tax structure, property tax structure in the nation, as one that has kept property tax rates low in Utah. It has kept rates low. And I don't always love it because of some of the challenges that it creates. But if you are looking for something that allows for rates to function without growing, it has worked really well. And so I applaud the state for that. And we just, as cities, work with it. And that's what we're trying to do. I think that's all I want to say about the legislative session. But if you have any feedback on bills or types, I'd love to take that back with me.
I think that
and I have one more year of this. That's it. Just
that's
one.
it?
Just one more.
You think that's it? Yeah.
Whoa. What do you mean I think?
Well,
there's always retirement.
Yeah, there's consulting after you're in the position you're in. But
I'm looking forward to one of you saying, enough, you're done. Yeah.
Since when do you listen to us?
There you go.
To Councilman Marshall's point about the disjointed nature of it, I think, again, you had a point. Okay. You had a point. The state's always talking about the federal government and the mandates that come down and everything else, and it's just the nature of the local government to say, yeah, same thing with the state to the cities, right? And I think the state in some fashion, when they're talking about water, is trying to say, hey, we're in a statewide crisis with that. So how do we get cities to be good actors rather than maybe some are bad actors? And I'm a broken record when I say this, but really there are things up the legislature that come out of policy, come out of committee, and in some way they just wish that cities would have done what we did 25, 30 years ago and are trying to get them to do it now. And in a way saying, hey, if you don't start being more water wise like cities like Spanish Fork, then here's the number we're going to give you. Here's what you're going to have to do, because it's like water, like power, like other things. They don't stop at the city limits. They go from the Wasatch Front to the Wasatch back, right? Yeah. So, not saying that's a good thing, but that's what the state would say to you, right?
Completely agree with that. The water is a statewide issue. It's a Utah problem, right? It's probably a West problem more than anything. You are right. There are some bad actors in the state of Utah from a municipality standpoint. I get that completely. What I'm getting fairly tired of is the state legislature putting it on the backs of municipalities to solve problems. There are 5 of us, 6 of us up here that get to look at our citizens in the face and say, guess what? We're going to impose a tax on you now because those folks up there didn't have the backbone to do it. That's what is starting to get pretty annoying. And they at the legislature, now they're bad actors there as well, right? And there's some incredibly talented people, and we're fortunate enough to be represented by some of the best in the business. But they will turn around and say, federal government, don't do that to us. And look us straight in the face and say, here you go, city, here's a pile of crap. You guys go figure it out. Man, it's getting rough.
It's hard.
For those of you that are at one point want to be up here, it's one of the toughest battles you get to face is your own representatives looking you in the face and say, here, you go fix it, because we can't. That's tough. So I get your point, Mike, and I agree with you 100%. Give us a framework to work within, and I guarantee the cities will find a way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe two other points. Make sure the council's aware. We put in an RFA, a request for appropriations for some assistance with Airport Taxiway Bravo. And Mr. Stewart's been helping us with that. Senator McKell has been our senator carrying that, and that's made the list of appropriations, and we'll wait until probably the last week before we see how that moves forward. But we did put that in, and so far it seems to be doing pretty well. And something to tag on to what Shane said, Senators McKell and Representatives, Senator McKell, Representative Burton, and White have all been really, really good as we've been coordinating with them, communicating with them about bills. Been very responsive, asking some questions, getting some insights, getting some follow-up feedback, and then we really appreciate how they're approaching things. Wonderfully, Representatives Welton and Thurston have also been extremely responsive to us, and I'm so grateful for them. You know, Welton's a little bit outside of our district, a little south of us, but he's been very responsive to us. And Norm Thurston, we just have a sliver of him in ours, but he's super responsive as well. Mayor and I got a text from him today on a bill, and he's very complimentary of what we're doing here. So it's been great working with that group of 5 representatives and senators that we get to interact with.
Good work. Thank you, everybody, for putting in the time. It's a fast and furious. We're a lay legislature, so you're halfway through a session, and it's a lot of work for them, but it's a lot of work for cities too. And Seth, thanks for your time commitment up there, and thanks for everybody else working hard for the time we got left. Okay, if that's it for staff reports, we're on to consent items. A, B, and C in the consent items. C is needing a roll call vote. So I think, can we do all of them, just a roll call vote? So if everybody's okay with A, B, and C and have no questions, I would entertain a motion and then a roll call vote for those.
I move to approve the consent items and note that Tara had to type up 174 pages of a 3-day work session listening to all of us all talk. Does that not sound like the worst job here? Yes, it does.
She's smiling. She likes her job.
Tara, thank you.
She likes her job 363 days a year.
Yeah,
that's right.
There you go.
It was 174 pages.
She got to write down all of Shane's snarky comments.
Yeah, and 170 of them were Shane's.
Someone has to.
Yeah.
I make the motion.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Councilwoman Beck, second by Councilman Marshall. A roll call vote here. Councilman Took.
Yes.
Councilman Cardon.
Yes.
Councilman Euler.
Yes.
Councilwoman Beck.
Yes.
And Councilman Marshall.
Yes.
Consent items are approved. Takes us to our first public hearing. We got 2 on the agenda tonight. Ordinance to approve the Old Dominion zoning text amendment is first. Mr. Dave Anderson.
Mayor Mendenhall, thank you. I am going to review the proposal, talk about where it would apply, then briefly cover some history related to the proposal, and then, Mr. Mayor, if you're okay with it, I'd like to turn time over to Mr. Hiram Bosserman, who is here representing the applicant. So to start with, Old Dominion zoning text amendment, this is the language. What's shown in red there, it's a little bit verbose. I think all of the language actually is needed to convey the point that it's making, which, to boil it all down, the proposal would allow for fences that are taller than 4 feet, let's say, to be located closer than 25 feet to a property line, as close as 10 feet. So the change would be a 15-foot difference from where currently you can put a fence that, in this case, it's 8 feet tall. 15-foot difference from where currently you could construct such a fence to where it would be allowed if the proposal were approved. I'm trying to make that as succinct as I can. The proposal would apply to one zoning district in Spanish Fork. The gray shade that we see here on this image, that identifies our Industrial 1 zone. You guys are pretty astute, so you can see, you know that it's our airport runway, for example. So we're talking about property that primarily in Spanish Fork is north of I-15, or you could say west of I-15, surrounding the airport, an industrial zone that allows for manufacturing, warehousing, a number of different activities. It's one of our more permissive zoning districts. And as written, the language here would just apply in that particular zoning district. So this has been written in a narrow fashion to try to really limit where this could come into play. The subject property, it's the Old Dominion site shown here. If you were to follow the runway, continuing on its trajectory, you'd hit the subject property. I'll talk more about that maybe in a minute. But just try to succinctly now go through the history. Back about 18 months ago, it was brought to our attention in our office that there was a fence constructed that caused somebody some kind of a concern. So we went out and looked at it and found that indeed It had been constructed in violation of the city's setback requirement. At the time, it violated our height requirement. However, since that time, the council's changed that requirement, so that's no longer an issue. It was also constructed without a fence permit, so we reached out to the folks that were finishing the development of the Old Dominion site and informed them of the problem, and that started a dialogue between staff and the applicant. A couple of months after that, the Development Review Committee reviewed a proposal that was not entirely unlike what's before you tonight, but a little bit different. And the Development Review Committee recommended that proposed change be denied. The proposal was to change the city's setback requirement so that the fence could remain along with a change to the height requirement. That proposal, with the DRC's recommendation, then a month later went to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission also recommended that it be denied. Some of you might remember that then a couple of months after that, we had a conversation with you. And that was nothing more than a casual conversation to kind of put our toe in the water, to get a feel from you as the council as to whether or not it made any sense for us to advise the applicants to pursue that proposed change any further. Based on what I would say was less than a lukewarm reception even, we let the applicants know that we thought that it was a very slim chance that proposal at that time would be approved. And in short, I kind of put everything on the shelf. We had issued a certificate of occupancy and a business license for Old Dominion. They have provided a bond. That is, they provided some type of cash assurance that they will work with the city to resolve this issue. And after things being somewhat dormant for a number of months, Mr. Bushman reached out to us several months ago and rekindled the discussion. So that led then to just within the last couple of weeks, after the Development Review Committee recommended that even this latest proposal be denied, that it be presented, or that it was presented to the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission recommended that it be approved. They recommended that it be approved with a slightly altered approach than what we presented to them. The language that I presented earlier is indeed consistent with the Planning Commission's recommendation. So that all being said, here we are tonight with a public hearing scheduled for the council. After holding a public hearing, the council can act to approve or deny the proposal. A denial of the proposal would mean that the applicants would have to change their fencing physically to bring it into conformity with the current setback requirement. And maybe I should ask, before I let Mr. Bosserman take the stage here, do you have any questions about any of that?
Dave, I don't know if you mentioned it. Did you share the difference in language between what the DRC had and what the Planning Commission changed it to?
Yeah, the Planning Commission made a really astute recommendation, which is we added the 10 feet language.
So that was the 10 feet language was not in what the DRC submitted.
Correct. So that just means that you can construct a fence, again, I'll say in this case 8 feet tall, within that 25-foot front setback, as long as still it gets no closer than 10 feet to the property line. Which incidentally is consistent with what's been constructed at the Old Dominion site. We went out and measured it last week.
So it would meet this condition.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Applicant would like to come up. Get your name up there one more time for Tara, if you could, Mr. Bosserman.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Hiram Bosserman on behalf of Old Dominion Freight Line. Mayor, Council, thank you for the time to be able to talk about this proposed code amendment. Just wanted to give a little bit of background. I think Dave Anderson here has done a great job, and I do want to say at the outset that I've had a great experience working with staff through this process. They've been very kind and understanding and willing to allow us to come before you and plead our case. So I appreciate that opportunity. Just want to give you a little bit of the background. You're probably familiar with Old Dominion. It's a national freight line, one of the largest in the entire country. Have several facilities here in Utah. I think about 6 or 7 or 8 stations where we house our trailers, for our semi deliveries, and the site here in Spanish Fork is no different. It's a crucial part of Old Dominion's operation, and we're really happy to be in Spanish Fork. It's been great so far. A little background on how we got here, in case you're wondering. I got involved, as Mr. Anderson said, probably over, I think it was in the summertime when I got involved. What happened is it appears that, and I got involved to kind of figure out what happened with this whole situation, how a fence got built in an incorrect location and not in conformity with the original site plan. So we dug into that, tried to figure out what happened, and it looks like the original site plan that was approved showed the fence in a different location, complying with the current setback rule. And then a building permit was submitted, and this is no fault of staff or anybody like that, but with the building permit, there was also a number of other drawings, including a fence drawing that showed the fence in the current location, showed it with 8 foot high, showed exactly how it's depicted now. That was approved as part of the building permit process, but it didn't comply or didn't coincide with the site plan approval that was originally approved. And so I think there was some miscommunication, at least on Old Dominion's part and our builder's part, as to whether that was approved or not. But that was hopefully what I'm trying to convey was not intentional, an intentional, trying to disregard, or at least from our view, we hope the city doesn't think we were trying to sneak one past them. I think it'd be also important for the city council to kind of understand why we're asking for the code to be changed. We tried to draft this code in a way, and if you look at the language, it's structured to just apply to trucking companies that have overnight parking and have employees that are going to be coming and going late at night. That's what we have here with our trucking company, right? We have employees that come, that drive trucks, they leave their cars all hours of the night, and so it's very important to Old Dominion that we fence in that employee parking lot, so that people that are coming and leaving at 3 in the morning or leaving their vehicles there overnight for long periods of time, they don't face any sort of safety issues. And so that's really the purpose behind it. That's the structure. If you were to go around, and I have other pictures, if the council's interested, I'm happy to plug in of our other facilities in different locations, West Valley, Pleasant View, Price, Richfield, some other locations that you will see that we fence in and routinely fence in our employee parking, with 8 foot high fencing, barbed wire on top to address those safety concerns. I think in this instance, what we tried to do was narrowly tailor it to just address mainly those safety concerns. And I agree that the Planning Commission's recommendation that you can't put a fence closer than 10 feet, I think was a great recommendation on their part. I will say, in working with other cities on putting together their industrial form, if you will, a site plan, typically we don't run into problems with placing a fence within the front setback. A number of cities that we work with, especially in the industrial zone, right? Because in the industrial zone, we're dealing with a lot of storage, a lot of security, a lot of protection, warehouse, that kind of infrastructure. We typically will have, when we work with cities, the ability to put a fence further out, certainly enclosing the employee parking, because when you're dealing in the industrial zone, aesthetics for the most part, aren't as high on the list, right? We're in an industrial area, and safety concerns are paramount. So I think in this instance, we are looking for a narrowly tailored approach to solving the problem. And we think it would be not just beneficial for us, but for attracting any other sort of trucking industry to Spanish Fork into your industrial zone specifically. So as you can see, it's just going to be for a parking facility where you have employees parking overnight, where they're entering and leaving the facility after hours, where it could potentially be dark at night, and where safety concerns would be mitigated by that. That's kind of what we're going for here. Now, last thing I'd want to point out is under your current code, I know at least when I had discussions with the Planning Commission about this a couple weeks ago, aesthetics was a big concern. And we talked at length about why do we have a 25-foot setback in an industrial zone anyways. And I want to be clear here, it's just a front setback. All the other setbacks surrounding the building are fine. We're just talking about the front setback. Under your current code as it stands, you permit chain link fence, you permit barbed wire on top of that chain link fence, you permit 8-foot high fencing. That's all permitted. The only thing that you don't permit is an 8-foot high fence within the front 25-foot setback. But you do permit a 4-foot high. If you'll see right above on number 3, you would permit a 4-foot high fence in the exact location where we have it, and it could be chain link. It just can't be 8 feet. So really that's what we're coming to. So when we were talking aesthetics with the Planning Commission, I was saying, look, if you're getting complaints about, hey, chain link, we don't like chain link. Hey, barbed wire, we don't like barbed wire, right? It is in your zoning code, and there's a reason we're here within your city building this infrastructure, building this building, because that's conducive to the plan that we build in every city that we go to, right? We need to have these security fences. We need to keep our cargo safe, our employees safe. So I really think it kind of turns on that, is we think this is going to give flexibility to other trucking companies that can come in, still utilize the entirety of their property, still put parking within the setback, which your code allows to have parking within the setback. So there's no violation there. It's simply the fact that your code as it stands doesn't allow that employee parking to be fenced with an 8-foot high fence as opposed to a 4-foot high fence for security reasons. So I think unless there's any other questions, I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the application itself or about Old Dominion or the facility or what took place.
Any other questions for Mr. Bosserman before we go into public hearing?
Maybe just to be super clear for my head, on the front side of the building, you have employee parking. Your stance is you want to fence that employee parking because they will be there overnight, late hours, and you want to fence it with an 8-foot high fence with barbed wire on top. That's basically what you're saying.
That's correct.
And currently the code does not allow.
Yeah, currently, and I wonder if it might be helpful, and you may have it in your packet, but I didn't see it put up there, but it might be helpful to take a look at what it currently looks like.
We do have pictures.
Right now. You have that in front of it. So it's...
Yep.
I can even...
Probably at the bottom,
yeah. Sorry, Hiram.
Yeah, that's what's currently built. That is what we're seeing in the pictures.
That's what should have been built.
Pictures there. So this is one of the better angles, I think, to see that the fence is 10 feet from the sidewalk rather than 25. And from this image here, this is the approved site plan. We've highlighted where the fence was approved to be constructed.
The fence is yellow, right?
Right. So this area here,
it's outside
so
the fence.
forth, yeah, back behind the parking area that has been enclosed. That being this area right in here.
Dave, would they typically need to do a different permit for the fencing? Because I know we have a fence permit, but would that typically be just a part of their building permit?
No, it's a separate permit, and this is why we require that. We don't charge for fence permits.
Right.
It's to try to avoid situations like this.
Gotcha.
Usually that's in a residential setting where over a weekend somebody does something that costs them a lot of money and can be a challenge to fix. So this is a little bit different than our typical, but indeed, yeah, fence permit.
Got it.
Any other questions for Mr. Bosserman before public hearing?
No.
Thank you. I'm
Thank
gonna
you
ask
so
to
much.
come back up. Appreciate it. Okay, I'd entertain a motion to go into public hearing for item A.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Councilman Cardin, second by Councilman Euler. All in favor say yes.
Yes. Yes.
We're in public hearing for item A. Anybody from the public that would like to speak to this item? Seeing none, I entertain a motion to go out of public hearing.
So moved.
Does somebody want to come up before I take a motion? Okay. Motion made by Councilman Took.
Second.
Second by Councilman Cardin. All in favor say yes.
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 Discussion back up here for item A. Any further questions for Dave or the applicant?
Dave, I didn't get a chance to watch the Planning Commission, so I wasn't able to see their conversation on this. Why was it a unanimous recommendation? What I guess maybe walk me through as quickly as you can. I know they had a 5-hour meeting, but as quickly as you can, walk me through why they came to this decision.
5 hours on Old Dominion's fence.
We were shorthanded that night. We had 3 commissioners. So in order for them to make a recommendation, they had to be unanimous. So it was.
Okay.
All 3 of them that night were part of the recommendation to approve this proposed change. Their reasoning, frankly, I think they are sympathetic for the situation that the applicant is in relative to what they've invested in the fence. I believe they also saw some reason to allow for the protection that the applicants talked about in terms of wanting to have a secure area for their cars, which incidentally for that is for employees who are going to be parking there for extended periods of time, which is something that we discussed as well as the Development Review Committee. And I don't mean this as any kind of an argument for the Planning Commission's action at all, but I think we looked at it differently in terms of looking at the site and seeing other areas on the site where they could do secure employee parking that's outside of that front setback. So, yeah, beyond that, I'm not sure that I can share a lot of insight in their train of thought.
Would you be comfortable, or would staff be comfortable if we were to approve this, if another business were to come and request the same thing? What's staff's opinion? We know our Planning Commission voted, but what's staff's opinion of making this change?
I'll speak for the Development Review Committee, and I'll just say it again. We recommended that the proposal be denied.
And the reasons being?
And frankly, it is, from my perspective, entirely aesthetics. Okay. That's really what it is. Other committee members are here tonight. They can speak, their minds as well. But, and let me say, we really appreciate having Old Dominion in the community. So that's where, it is a little bit of a challenge for us as staff to take a position on something that we know would impact a business in terms of them needing to expend some funds and rearrange what they've done. Yet we work pretty hard to make sure that we treat everybody the same and that we apply the code across the board and without deviation. We don't always get it right, but I think we come pretty close to getting it right all the time. So maybe the last thing that I'll add relative to what we've discussed as the DRC is that today it seems like this site is out in the middle of nowhere. That is not going to be the case forever. State Road 77 is going to be part of a huge gateway to a business district that will be unlike, I think, anything else in South Utah County. The road that borders the Old Dominion site on the west side is intended to go all the way south down to 10th North, where Wasatch Pallet is now, and further south to a future interchange someday on I-15. It's a facility that the city is investing a lot of money in constructing, and this is someday, hopefully sooner than later, going to be a pretty prominent location. I'll finish my lobbying here by saying that when the Utah County Jail approached us a couple of years ago, we didn't necessarily have a legal basis for encouraging them to do fencing that was better looking than what they originally proposed. But we did what we could to work with them and get them to see the value in doing something that was more attractive for that likewise pretty prominent location that they occupy here in town. And that's sort of a mentality that's carried through as well, while we recognize that the code only provides so much in terms of what we can require. So again, aesthetics, but that's something that we take pretty seriously.
And I'll add just a thought that as the parking lot is configured today, I think the applicant suggested this was the only way to remedy it. But what we would have loved, if you go back to the site plan, you don't need to go back, Jack, but if you go back to the site plan, looking at how they were proposing the fencing with how the parking lot was designed, it worked. Had they proposed, I'm making up history here, so this isn't real, right? But had they proposed this in the original discussion, we would have pointed out you can't do that. So they would have proposed, differently than, we're going to lay it out different, and then they would have been within the parking lot. Would be different, but they would probably have fit with the code. And then this discussion of aesthetics wouldn't be before us. So I think the challenge that we're facing is trying to, do we want to make this fit because it's already done? And I think Dave summarized it well. It's a function of aesthetics with chain link and barbed wire that close to the road in front of the building.
And then the question is, are we as a city comfortable with this change if it opens the door to similar industry or businesses to come and then do the same thing?
So, Dave, my question is, so if we decide to not approve the text amendment, the remedy is to move the fence back 10 feet, essentially, or is there an option for them to use a different type of fence with the way that the code is written?
They could have a 4-foot tall fence a 4-foot tall chain link fence where it's constructed today. So that'd be up for them to decide if that was suitable. Otherwise, they'd have to reconfigure it, I think, practically speaking, and there might be other options, but to match what was approved, where the fence essentially would be just on the other side of the area that has been designated for just regular passenger car type of parking.
But if they didn't do a 4-foot fence, they could come back the 10 feet to the 25 foot, or I guess 15 feet to 25 feet, and then put up that chain link fence still. So it'd still be the frontage, but it'd just be further back.
They could, yep. The only issue with that along the particular part of the frontage that we're talking about is if they simply went back 25 feet, they'd be right in the middle of their parking lot. So it'd likely instead be 70 feet back, then there's 60 feet back.
Make it meet code. It could be barbed wire, chain link, 15 feet different than it is today.
Correct.
Okay. So aesthetically, it's 15 feet further. That's improved aesthetic.
Correct.
15 feet further to the building. Okay. Pretty sure I can still see it.
You would still see it. Yeah, I guess I appreciate Dave's point of it doesn't show it now, but you could realistically have, if this was, modified, that this is okay, and the same type of business says, perfect, that's the place I need to be across the street, that would just, those two fences that close to the road start to feel like a barbed wire alley on a very prominent road of our commercial and industrial district. Yep. And I respect Mr. Bosterman pointing this out. This is our industrial hub and industrial district where we love companies like Old Dominion to be. Having said that, prisons, our jails in an industrial area too, and their fence is better than this because we worked with them, and they're protecting some important things too, important vehicles.
Other question I have is this would there be an opportunity for a conditional use permit or something like that mechanism to make this right as well? I'm just trying to think of the different options that there are, because I know obviously we have a Title 15 change in front of us, but is there any other remedies for this? Because obviously, like to Mayor's point, having them right next to each other is probably not the greatest thing in the world that we want. Not saying that there's a trucking company looking, but at the same time, probably want to weigh that option.
Without a doubt, there are other ways that this could be approached from a text amendment perspective, including making it a conditional use, probably with some kind of parameters there in terms of what that's really intended to do. Maybe by way of, if a fence is of a certain type, it can be closer to the property line than a fence of a different type. That's something that we talked about, I feel like, at length in the DRC meetings where we discussed this. So by all means, yeah, other things could also accomplish what we're talking about.
Like you think of the wrought iron fence that's at the county building, it's a very different look.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to consider different things, then you could write into the code, if you're going to go into the setback, then it can't be chain link and razor wire, but it's got to be this type of a fence, you know, whatever that is.
And if that was the adjustment, wouldn't it only have to be at that section, or am I thinking right?
Yeah, it just have to be the front, because that's the only part that's in the setback.
Right. The other parts,
right,
wouldn't need to be adjusted. It would just be the road facing section. Any other questions for Dave on this, the applicant?
How many questions for him? I don't like developing code that's this carved out. You have to be a trucking company, and it has to be within 10 feet, and you have to park after 6. And like,
right,
there's a lot of bullets there that probably doesn't make it applicable very many places, but it very clearly reads like we're trying to accommodate something.
I agree with Shane. My thoughts are I'm not comfortable with making a Title 15 change that obviously DRC and others prior to us put a lot of thought into. The DRC's got a recommendation, and then you only had 3 of the planning commissioners there with a different recommendation. I understand their intent, but I'm not comfortable making that kind of a change without. I don't feel like it's been thoroughly vetted. In my opinion, I don't like the making such a unique or specific change for one situation in codifying it. Is that the word? So that's the way I feel about it. If there's another way we can make an adjustment for this property without building it into code, I could maybe get behind that, but I don't like adjusting code for one specific issue.
Especially retroactively.
Yeah.
I'd almost rather have the address in Old Dominion in the carve-out instead of just all the qualifiers. I actually don't mind the application, but if there was the same, I was almost okay with it until the mayor said, what if this is on the other side of the fence? Then it becomes problematic for the whole thing. So I'm less comfortable than I was when we started the conversations. You guys brought up some really great points. Finally.
And I'm definitely I think it's worth having the conversation of what other material, like not necessarily today, right? I think it'd be better for DRC or some of the professionals to have that conversation before us, but what other materials could be there. I'm totally fine with the fence being 10 feet from the road, but I think that I would like it to look different than what it currently looks like.
Sounds like you made a motion.
I can make the motion if we're ready for it. I don't know where we're at.
I'll entertain it if there's no other discussions or questions.
I move to deny the proposed Old Dominion zoning text amendment.
Motion made by Councilman Cardin. Anything commentary you want to add on that motion besides what you kind of already made, I guess?
I don't think that. I think it would have to be a whole new process So I don't know if there's any other comments that I would add to it.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll second it based on the comments that I made. Just not comfortable with putting it into code for the specific of the thing.
Motion made by Councilman Cardin, second by Councilman Euler. Any discussion on that motion? Okay. If not, I'll call for a vote. Roll call vote here. Councilman Euler?
Yay.
Councilman?
Yes.
Don't mess me up with the yays. It's yes. I messed that up last time.
Yes to deny, correct?
Yes. Yes. Yes is to deny. That's what he was thinking about.
That's why I paused. That is the same thing.
Councilman Cardin?
Yes.
Councilman Took?
Yes.
Councilman Marshall?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Beck?
Yes.
That is yes to deny that motion. Thank you. Thank you for the good discussion. Thank you, Mr. Bosserman, for your details there as well. And we'll probably see you back here in another meeting. Okay. Takes us to item B of the public hearing tonight is the ordinance to approve Omega Morgan zoning text amendment. Mr. Dave Anderson.
Once again, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Our zoning regulations require that certain things be screened, as in screened from view. And in some cases, we require masonry walls to be used as that screen. See masonry walls constructed along some of our busier streets. But a lot of times you see masonry walls constructed around different activities that happen in the same part of the community that we were just talking about, that gray area that we have, that light industrial zone around the airport. And that's what we're here to talk about with the Omega Morgan zoning text amendment. We require outdoor storage areas to be surrounded by masonry walls. And this proposal, you can see with the language that we have here, would provide a more explicit definition of what outdoor storage is. Honestly, for the purpose of this discussion that we're having, by way of trying to be more precise in terms of what qualifies as outdoor storage and what therefore needs to be screened with the masonry wall. That's kind of part 1. 2, the second part is then to potentially create a new use, a new defined land use in our zoning code to distinguish it from an outdoor storage area. So that for this particular new use, calling it a staging area, there's some other phrases that work just as well, so that areas that are used for that purpose don't need to be screened with a masonry wall. This has come about at the request of Omega Morgan. They're occupying this site here. So runway is such a great point of reference. The subject property is just west of our airport, like literally just across the street on the west side of the facility there. You don't see it in this image here, but there is a 500,000 square foot building on that property right now. Omega Morgan is in the process of occupying that. And they would like to use an area that, I'll go here. So again, back to just getting oriented, this is the runway. So in this case, north is to our left. This is the building that they will occupy. And they would like to use 10 acres right here as an area where they will put big pieces of equipment that they're doing different things with as they await. And it's a good time for me to introduce maybe Mr. Rainwater that's here tonight. I'll let you speak more to the details. You'll want to correct whatever I get wrong here, but as I understand it, they bring really large, like as in Sealand container-sized pieces of equipment that are kept outside both before and after something happens to them in the facility and they are shipped off to where they're used for their ultimate purpose. When they're kept outside, they're go back there. They're often wrapped, as I understand it, and they're just lined up outside. And again, in a moment, I will be done, and then hope that maybe I'll give Mr. Rainwater some time to provide the details that I'm leaving out here. But from my perspective, the idea of defining that differently than we would like a boneyard, where there are old pieces of equipment kept and stored, or piles of aggregate that's kept outside, or any one of a number of other things that is more prone to detracting from really creating the type, like I said earlier, of business park that we're working hard to create in this part of the community. I think it's just simply very different what these folks are wanting to do with this property. Incidentally, we also talked about this being potentially a 3-year use of the property. So I know part of the reason that Omega Morgan has approached the city about having something like what's proposed tonight approved is their desire to not invest as heavily as you have to build a masonry wall, if indeed it's just going to be used for a relatively short period of time. And just a couple of thoughts on that. We've shied away as staff from suggesting that any type of change be made to look at this as a temporary use, frankly, because in our experience, temporary does not exist. It's the most permanent things that we have in town, it seems like, started out as temporary ideas and that sort of thing. But again, the idea is to not call this outdoor storage, to call it something different, and therefore to make it so that instead of surrounding the site that, again, it's right here, 10 acres, with the masonry wall, they could use some other type of fencing just for security purposes, and that would be it. Have any questions about any of that?
So, Dave, all of this is not being developed at this time. Is that correct?
Yeah, this first building is done,
okay.
And I've been told that, and I believe we received an application for the second building that will be developed there. And I think the developer's intent is that as they get a tenant signed on for one building, they will then start the next, and that's just their business plan. And maybe Mr. Rainwater has some insight on that I don't have. Incidentally, Mr. Rainwater is not with the developer, but he's with Omega Morgan. I'll say it again like I did with Old Dominion, but particularly with Omega Morgan. They're the first tenant to sign on with a facility like this, a building like this, in our VERC industrial park. So that's, for us as staff, really, really exciting. Great company, very happy to have them here in town. And yet, I'll say the same thing I said earlier, frankly, because we've made some people screen some pretty large sites. If you go by Sunrock and their sister company's site on the north side of State Road 77, you see a lot of masonry wall. And frankly, I think in those cases, it absolutely is needed, given how they're using the property on the other side of the wall and that type of a thing.
So where would the wall go in this layout?
The wall would be required around this here.
Why not the entire property?
Only the portion of the property that's being used for outdoor storage is required to have the wall around it. So oftentimes we'll see.
There wouldn't be a wall
around
if this whole thing was developed, there wouldn't be a wall around the whole thing.
No, we wouldn't require that, provided that they meet a setback requirement. They could put a wall wherever they'd want, though.
Sure. If they did, don't put it in a setback and don't put chain link on top of it.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Hey, Dave. Question. When it comes to what can be stored in this space, do we know if there are limitations as far as what, could anything?
Yeah, as defined here, if indeed you were to adopt the language that's proposed, an area where assembled machinery or other finished products are kept prior to being shipped, off-site for installation and use. So it would be assembled machinery, other like things of that nature. So not lumber, not pipe, not any of the things, for example, that we've covered under the definition of outdoor storage area.
And these finished products, like you were showing earlier, they store them in a container prior to shipping them. You're not going to see the actual finished products. The only thing you would see in this storage area are the containers that they're in.
I'd love for Mr. Rainwater to answer that. Okay. He'll get it right.
Okay.
It's a good question, but this is the general code change, so whether they do it or
somebody else,
some future person could be assembled machinery or other finished products, which basically means any finished product.
Doesn't matter what it's in, whether it's stored in a container or not. If it's
finished,
we're not saying you have to put it in a container.
Correct.
Yeah. Which, yeah, I don't think that matters.
Yeah.
Is there anything in the language that we're looking at? This is on the, kind of in the interior of their complex, I guess. So you're not
seeing it as
you're not fronting the road. You're not going back there unless you're working there or going back there for business. I guess that's a little different than being.
For sure. Is that why that's temporary in their mind?
The currently approved site plan for the whole development actually shows another building on this area right here.
Gotcha.
Their temporary nature is
quite possibly
storage yard if they don't. Right?
So it could be developed later on. I guess the question I have is, do they lease that property to be able to store on it in the meantime, because it's not theirs, right?
Correct. Yeah, they're leasing the building, and they would lease that 10-acre
property,
adjacent property.
Okay.
Other questions for Dave before we listen from the applicant?
So the text in front of us defines staging area now, a redefinition of outdoor storage area. Is there another place in the code where it says what you can and cannot do with a staging area then?
No.
That's yet to be determined?
No, it's intended for this to entirely address what that definition would include. So if this is not comprehensive enough, or
it doesn't say what type of fence you can put around.
I'm sorry. So we only require the wall around outdoor storage areas. So simply by saying that it's not an outdoor storage area,
there's no wall required.
We would not require.
So would they even have to have a fence?
No.
They would not be required to. Right. No type of screening or anything would be required.
So do we need to be really specific? So anyone doesn't just say, "Oh, mine's staging as well."
That's the intent with the outdoor storage area definition, and why we beefed that up, enhanced it. It's hard to cover everything that you could.
It is.
Imagine. Which.
It's hard though, because in your definitions of outdoor storage and staging area, like it's construction equipment or similar equipment is in an outdoor storage area, but in staging area is assembled machinery.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that those two could be interchangeable.
I welcome any thoughts or ideas that anybody has about how to tighten it up.
He's got questions. He just doesn't have the thoughts.
That's right.
Ideas.
Yeah.
Hey, they're there. I'm sure they're there.
I mean, not just for you. I meant for me. Yeah. I didn't mean to dig on you. To that point, though, assembled machinery or other furnished products, to me, I read that as the assembled machinery has to be finished products.
Ready
to be version
delivered.
Of furnished products. So it wouldn't be, I guess, unassembled machinery. I'm with you, Jesse. I'm like, and then the applicant is proposing to screen it with something other than
a masonry wall.
Yeah.
Right.
We are not proposing a code change to require the screening.
Correct.
So essentially, we're saying that there's not going to be screening because
I know the applicants want a
of this
fence
account.
for security purposes. Sorry to throw that out, but
Aren't they proposing in their cost comparison?
They
to
are.
do a blend?
Yeah, no, they are. The applicant is, but our code would not require it.
Yeah, if they want to or not, it's up to them, but we're not requiring it.
Was the applicant originally just asking for a variance and trying to do the different type of fencing?
I think that's the exact word they used.
Yeah.
And
we don't do variances.
Right.
Makes this whole thing complicated.
give us some flexibility. Actually, that's not what I would normally say at all.
It's like, what?
Right? That's not consistent with Shane.
Who are you?
It's like you're saying zoom in, not zoom out.
I know.
I could predict what would be on every agenda multiple times.
I kind of smiled when I said it. I meant sarcastically.
Let's hear from the applicant.
Mr. Rainwater, if we could hear from you, the applicant, if you'd like to, before we go into public hearing. And we might have questions for you after that as well.
Good evening. Chad Rainwater, Omega Morgan. Our sister company is Intermountain Rigging and Heavy Haul out of Salt Lake City. I don't know if anybody's familiar with them or not. They've been around a long time. But that is our sister company. What we are proposing, and hopefully I can shed some clarity on this as well. And also, first off, we're happy to be here, very happy. This is a strategic location for us. It works well with what we're doing, and we couldn't be more happy to be here. And everybody's been very gracious and very helpful. But we see this as one facility, all right? The operation, the yard is a strategic operating point. Trucks will come in, they'll go around the warehouse, go, drop off, be staged, be ready to be shipped to site within usually a few days, max 2 to 3 weeks. Nothing's going to sit, nothing's going to be there for 3 years, and that's where that's where some of this is coming from. They are finished units. I mean, I can tell you what they are if you like. They're chillers. Majority of them will be chillers and things like that. They're boat wrapped. That's the white. They are not in a container. That is the actual finished unit. It will be installed.
Okay.
We even have larger units than that, but they are going to be indoor. So those are going to go into the warehouse.
Chillers, you mean big freezers?
No, like a AC type unit for a chiller to keep a area room or electrical equipment cool.
Okay.
So that's the objective here. It's not, we have a 3-year lease. Will it increase? I can't answer. Traditionally, our customer, we only require 3-year. Sometimes we do extend. Sometimes we do not. But the masonry wall just didn't seem very practical for that. I will let you know that our fence is already being installed around the warehouse. I think we have a picture. I don't know if we do or not, but it's very similar to the fence that you just proposed. It's a black, a 7-foot with the 3-pronged. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Barbed wire with privacy slats. So it's not an open chain link fence. That fence is being put in and been approved to be put into around the warehouse. So we would actually butt the masonry wall up to that fence. So we basically are just wanting to extend that fence and make it one facility is the way I see it.
So you would fence, just bring that fence all the way?
We would like to just bring it that way.
Around the storage
When it goes back
yard.
out, we could come in, drop it off, and then go about the bottom right gate.
So with that kind of investment, I assume you're hoping for a longer lease than 3 years.
We're hoping, but it's still, the masonry wall does make it a little bit even more.
Yeah.
So that being said, that we do want to fence it. We do want it to be privacy or private. It's just the masonry wall butted up to the chain link fence because of the yardage. It is a storage yard. It's a lay down yard. It's a staging yard. So I think that's where we're at. So, any questions on that? I mean, it's pretty.
So the image that you showed that did have the white wrapped kind of things with looks like some snow on it or something. That's what
those are in another facility. We run several of these.
That's what you think we're seeing in this area too. This staging area.
That would be some of it. There's other material that come in.
Sure.
But again, it'll be inside the yard and it'll be screened, but it'll be in and out. Most of the things that we've taken in right now out of their Salt Lake City warehouse till this one's up and moving are there for 3 days. So
there's no work being performed on it at all? It's just
No, it's
dropped,
it's just dropped, staged, and shipped
waiting
to site.
to be shipped somewhere else.
Yeah.
And they don't go inside the warehouse itself.
Those do not. We have units that are larger that do go inside the warehouse, but those are electronic, so they have to be indoor.
Okay, so it's an open air version of the building.
Yes, sir, basically.
Okay, all right.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's helpful. Yeah.
Anybody answer everything?
Thank you. I think we're good.
That's great.
Might have some more for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. If there's no other questions for staff at this time, I'd entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Councilwoman Beck.
Second.
Second by Councilman Took to go to public hearing for item B. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
We're in public hearing for item B. Anybody from the public that would like to speak to this item, please come up and tell us your name.
You're expecting everyone to get up.
Not yet. I'd entertain a motion to go out of public hearing for
So
item B.
moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Cardin, second by Councilman Marshall. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Discussion back up here for this item. Question, maybe some clarity here. And again, what I pointed out earlier about this kind of being off the road and back behind a building that's already built helps me, I guess, a little bit with this. But the comment that this is a continuation of a similar fence, do we expect on that west? I can't read what that is. Is that 600 west or 700 west?
We'll get some help there.
700's along the airport.
Along the airport there. Is it proposed to have the same fence along 700 west there that comes back to this yard?
That's my understanding, that the applicants would like to fence not only the storage or staging area, but also the all of the property that they're leasing.
And as long as that's off the road enough,
Has to meet setback
as we
requirements and
discussed previously,
Right.
that's within code.
And have a fencing permit.
Okay. Just make sure we don't have another fencing problem.
Oh, I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
Just maybe not
We're
here.
gonna tell you what, we're gonna work pretty hard.
We're in
Make sure we don't.
an hour of fence conversation.
Fences are important.
Pretty weighty stuff.
Fences
early on.
are important.
Wow.
There's got to be a pun in there somewhere.
Nope, no pun.
Thank you. That was my question to clarify that.
Seth is working.
I don't. I personally don't.
7. Tyler's got 30.
Don't mind the idea of the fence. I mean, of the
Lay it on.
change because of what we're talking about. I do get uncomfortable that we're in what I said earlier is that we're not having any type of screening for the staging area. I think that I think that having some type of fencing covering the staging area would be suited as well. Just maybe it is the same type of fence and it just says it's a screening fence, right? Or something like that. It doesn't necessarily need to be a masonry fence. Because I don't, to your point that it's off the road, it's back, it's in behind buildings, it doesn't truthfully matter what it is, but I do think it's probably for those other tenants, it's probably a good thing to have it screened, because if it is something that's not wrapped or isn't as sightly as what they're going to be doing in other places in the community, it'd probably be better that we have some type of screening there.
I agree.
Which I think that's right on that.
That's what the applicant is proposing.
So
It's
you
not
you like what they're proposing.
I'm fine with what they're proposing.
The code change doesn't reflect what they're proposing.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I'm on that same.
Our code's a little looser than calling it a 7-foot black chain link fence with privacy slats.
Yeah.
Ours doesn't call for a fence at all.
Right.
Yeah,
And I think that there would be another application where this would apply that we would want it screened.
Mm-hmm.
Here, I'm with you. I don't know that it
exactly
all that impactful if it's not, but
screened in what way? Masonry?
I think what they're proposing would work. So let's talk about that real quick. So right now it's the difference between masonry and a screened vinyl fence, chain link with vinyl slats, okay? If what's behind that is finished products or finished components, is it okay that it's not masonry? That's really what it comes down to, right? we would want masonry if it was not finished products or finished components.
They're doing work, essentially.
Construction material, pipes,
Pieces, parts,
dirt, piles of dirt. Yeah,
hard fence.
yeah, which we're covering. That's taken care
covered.
of. Yeah.
So if it's something better than that, if it's something more visually appealing than that, which is finished products or components, can we live with chain link with slats in it?
The thought that comes to my mind as I envision this is a car dealership. You've got parking lots with cars, finished products that are ready to be sold and driven off the lot, right? We don't require a masonry wall around those. I envision this to be something similar, a finished product that's may or may not be wrapped, but it's finished. It's something ready to go somewhere to be installed. I don't have concerns whether it's fenced or screened or not, knowing. But that's me personally. Knowing that the outdoor storage area is totally different and is protected and will be screened and fenced off. But what I envision in being in a staging area is not something I'm concerned with having fenced off and no sight or vision to it at all.
Sure. I like having the two distinctions. I mean, I argued 15 minutes ago that I don't like to be that specific necessarily, but I think there is a difference between something finished and aesthetically pleasing and
I think those definitions will become more refined as we deal with them more too.
Sure.
Right? Like it's how 15 changes over time.
I like having the fence, personally. I mean, we can visualize what this specific thing is because he's telling us exactly what it is.
Right.
But then I can't visualize what the next business is going to come in and do. So I would just approve this, but say they need to have a screen fence up.
Can I propose a different definition and see if you all?
That's great.
A designated, clearly marked location enclosed by a privacy fence where finished products or finished components are stored and organized while awaiting loading and shipment to offsite. Got the fence finished.
Will you
Has to
say
be
it again?
components. Will you write it down if I do?
No, but I'll listen better.
A designated, clearly marked location enclosed by a privacy fence where finished products or finished components are stored and organized while awaiting loading and shipment.
Okay, now I have a personal question. Did you write that or chat?
I did.
No, you did
Good
not.
job.
There's no way.
8 of those words I wrote.
How many?
Those the ones that you fed into ChatGPT.
Maybe.
Well, chat did well.
Does it matter?
No, it doesn't. I like it.
It's a good proposal. I just don't think a fence is necessary. I'm comfortable with that. So.
And I do like the fence. So.
I do too.
I'm fine either way with the fence or not. I'm more of Councilman Euler on this, but I support that new.
I will send it to you.
Jesse, do you like the fence?
I
or
want
no
the fence.
Okay.
Yeah, I said that right the first. Yeah, I want the fence.
Want to make a motion?
Sounds like he's got the makings of a motion. Seth,
I'll do
are
it.
you nervous about that motion?
Oh, I just asked him.
He wants me to send him the text after I read it.
All right.
You can read it slowly and you could write it down.
I will look to Tara.
I'll send it to you. I'll get it to you really quick.
Dave,
That's not a problem. Just we want to get it right.
Did anything I say concern you or the applicant? I mean, it fits what you want to do.
Does that? Let me ask a question. If that were to be approved, does that affect anything that we have? I guess it's just the industrial zone, public works facilities. If we've got staging areas, if we've got stuff that's out in the open, are we now required to fence those off as well? If we're not already.
If you add, and I'm sorry, did you include something about fencing? You
I did.
say.
I did.
Okay. As
I would think that Councilman Waller's point, though, we have not designated anything a staging area to date, so that would not apply to anything that we have approved in the past.
And most of the stuff in our public works is actually going to be the opposite. A lot of it's going to be outdoor staging area or storage area.
But do we
Or
have
his
to?
fencing is off.
I'm just
along
thinking.
the roadways we do. I think there is, and Dave's going to correct me if I'm wrong.
I think
there's some language about along the railroad that could be a different type of fence.
That's correct.
So if you go down to Public Works today along 200 East, you'll see a masonry wall. Historically on the south, there has been just a chain link that's been there for as long
So
as
I'm
the
just
50s,
imagining-
right? But then along the railroad,
I'm imagining along the north end where our electrical, our power department's got all of their transformers and other things that are just out in the open. Are we
today that's
saying at this point now, because that's a outdoor staging area waiting to go get installed somewhere, are we saying that needs to be fenced?
I think today a site plan would require that in that sense.
To me, that would be an outdoor storage area, and it would require masonry.
I think a staging area is a higher standard and harder to reach. I think it's really easy to have outdoor storage, and probably everything you're talking about is outdoor storage. But a staging area to me seems very specific and difficult. Like as soon as they put out a pallet of bricks because they don't have anywhere else to put it, it now becomes a storage area, right? So you're looking at finished pieces or finished assembled parts. So I think staging area, with the way we've written it, is a higher standard for somebody to hit.
Maybe even our code right now, we're already hitting that.
Yeah.
So,
and more than likely, similar to this company, if they're producing something that they've invested thousands in, they're going to want to protect it.
Correct.
So
More than
they're
likely,
probably going to be doing
problem.
this anyway.
I agree. And if it wasn't temporary, it probably would be a masonry fence.
Correct.
Yeah,
probably.
I have a bit of concern about putting the words fencing into the definition, where we've defined fencing throughout the rest of the code in such limited or specific fashion, and then to just simply say for a staging area you got to have a fence, and what does that fence look like, and how high, and all those kinds of
details. That's what we were. Yeah, is privacy fence defined somewhere else in the code? And if it's not, then we have a problem.
Is privacy fence? I'm not seeing privacy fence in the code anywhere with my quick search. So we might want to have some more specific language that we can come up with. But I mean, you guys, if you're comfortable with
code, it defines what fencings, what fence,
and if you're comfortable with up to 8 feet chain link with privacy slats, then we can figure out a way to write that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And put it in the code.
And put it in the code. Yeah.
Where it belongs.
Yeah. If you want to give us that clarity, give us the motion with the language, give us that clear direction, and tell the attorneys to write it to where they're comfortable with it, that it meets your intent. I think we can do that.
So you want me to take it out of the definition and then give you direction on?
Yes.
Okay, I'll give it a shot. You guys, you attorneys.
Chat real quick.
Want me to do it?
Yeah.
World's watching.
Give me directions.
Well, you're the one giving direction.
I usually he says, I will take a motion.
I will. I'll entertain one.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve staging areas as defined as a designated, clearly marked location where finished products or finished components are stored and organized while awaiting loading and shipment to an off-site installation. In addition, direct staff to define somewhere in code that staging area is fenced by a chain link fence, at a minimum a chain link fence with vinyl slats. Good?
8 feet tall. Yeah.
I'll second that.
Did you want a height on that?
Up to 8 feet.
Up to 8 feet.
There you go. Okay. Second that?
Yes.
You still good?
Motion made by Councilman Marshall. Yeah. Seconded by Councilwoman Beck. A roll call vote here. Councilman Took.
Yes.
Councilman Cardin.
Yes.
And Councilman Euler.
Yes.
Councilman Beck, Councilwoman Beck, and Councilman Marshall.
Yes.
Sorry, guys. God, that long of a fence conversation got me.
It just gets too much. Just get off the fence.
Thank you, Mr. Rainwater. Appreciate
Thank you very much.
Yep, appreciate your
Jesse, did you have
questions.
fun down there?
I did.
That was good.
What was Jack?
Yeah.
Got one.
Got it.
I'm sorry, I thought you were trying to say something, but you're still trying to say
Gal, I was just trying to get his. Sorry about that.
Gave
Thank
2
you. Good
hours.
questions. Good discussion. Appreciate getting something done there.
Mayor's getting tired. We need
He
to.
appreciates getting something done.
New business golf/parks maintenance shop contract and notice of award. Notice to proceed. Mr. Dale Robinson.
Wow, I'm all fenced out. Let's build something instead. Should we?
We like it.
So you have before you, and we've discussed this multiple times now, the agreement with Hall Engineering and Construction to renovate and do an addition to the golf maintenance building and also raise it out of the floodplain. The contract there is for $2,080,000, $80,202.52. This also includes the notice of award and notice to proceed. All of the bonding is in place, so we are prepared to move forward once we get this agreement signed. Do you have any questions on it?
What kind of fence are you going to put up?
I knew she was going there, Dale. There's a big tall
setback.
There's a big tall net fence that
we have a really 100-foot high fence.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay,
really
that's a lie.
100-foot.
It's 60. We need a bigger one.
Yeah, 100. Yep.
Especially when mayor's heading.
Especially when I'm up there on the range.
What kind of fence?
Have we talked about this shop publicly, or just,
I don't believe
or
so,
at
just
least
work
in city
session.
council meeting? Work sessions publicly.
Yes.
Work sessions, but not in the council meeting now.
So maybe Dell, just
Okay.
quickly, why?
Budget meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What is
I'm
it gonna be
happy
used
to
for?
describe that
Just
to you.
describe
Sure.
what we're going to do with it.
So what we're doing is we're renovating the old golf shop. We have 2 other needs that would need to be met. Well, actually 3. We do not have a parks maintenance shop anywhere on the east side of town. Our closest one is at the sports park, Swenson Park. And we now have parks all over the East Bench. And so we're trying to find another location that we can store some equipment and house some lead workers for our parks maintenance. And rather than just build an independent shop, we decided to attach some other bays and renovate the golf shop so that it will benefit them as well. We also house all of our Festival of Lights structures in that building.
There's only a couple of those, right?
And we are out of space for those. And so this accomplishes all 3 of those things, as well as we're going to build some new offices onto there, turn what was Dallon's old office into more shop space. So that's the main purpose, is we decided we'd accomplish those 3 things with one building rather than just build an independent maintenance shop. And I'm sure in the future we'll be coming to you for more, because we've got parks scattered all over. But right now this will help meet some of our needs on the east end.
I hope not.
Walk through, Dell, how we're paying for it. The 2 point something million.
Yeah, it's $2 million. So this is in our capital improvement project fund.
So this is money that we save each year in capital improvements. We've just prioritized where that money goes each year, and this is one of those priorities to get this shop built, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So we budgeted half of this in this fiscal year, and we will budget the other half in the next with this next budget go around in next fiscal year's budget.
Perfect. Thank you.
Dale, what is the timeline for completion on this project?
I believe we put November as the potential completion date. They are ready and prepared. Like I said, they've got their bonding taken care of in anticipation of this being approved, and I do believe that we were looking at November.
You don't want to build it between October and January 1st.
We have winter this year. Yeah,
we could have. Would have been great timing. We kind of missed the mark, didn't we?
We did.
We were thinking we were going to have to wait till winter, but we didn't hit one. Now we're hitting winter when we're ready to start. So, yeah.
Yeah, so my thought on this, the public is, this is not necessarily something the public usually sees, because you go to the golf course and you go to see the front desk, and then you go see 18 beautiful holes of our municipal golf course. But this is an important part of it that makes the rest of it beautiful, and I like that it's not just for our golf course. Obviously, it's on that property, but it's right next to Canyon View Park, which our residents thoroughly enjoy, and the other parks on the east side, to have those maintenance vehicles that keep that all in tip-top shape. So this is an investment that we need to make and have to make, because we've upped our game at the golf course and all those parks around too. So I think Dallon and his crew are doing a bang-up job, and and I hope they keep doing it. I know they will.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's becoming more and more difficult for us to transport equipment clear across town. So this will save a lot of time.
That's good.
And wear and tear on vehicles.
Any other questions for Dale on item A?
Nope.
Nope.
If not, I'd entertain a motion for item A.
I move to approve the golf parks maintenance shop contract notice of awards notice to proceed.
Motion made by Councilman Euler.
Second.
Second by Councilman Took. A roll call vote here. Councilwoman Beck.
Yes.
And Councilman Marshall.
Yes.
Councilman Took.
Yes.
Councilman Cardon.
Yes.
And Councilman Euler.
Yes.
A is approved. Takes us to B, resolution amending the fee schedule. Mr. Robinson for this one.
Yes, I will start since two of these fees pertain to my department. Mr. Nielsen has put this resolution together for us. One of the proposals was alluded to earlier. We are now taking over the Easter egg hunt. Taking over. I don't know if that's the right terminology. The Easter egg is coming back to, hunt is coming back to us. I've been here long enough to know when it was here to begin with. It's coming back to us, and we have some fees that we're proposing to put in here, which are all sponsor fees. We've got a field, and you can see them there before you, but for the public's benefit, a field sponsor, an egg sponsor, a bike or a basket sponsor, candy bar sponsor, and then a proposed activity booth for people that want to be able to get a booth. So this is all about lots of fun for the kids on Easter. So those are the fees that we're proposing that we charge for those sponsorships. Any questions on those? They're pretty straightforward. The other one that I have in my department is the golf course again. We are proposing a dollar increase per 9 holes on green fees and on cart fees. We have, and for the public's sake, I know I've mentioned this to you guys before, but the industry, our competitors around us, Gladstone and Hobble Creek and Sleepy Ridge, all of those that are close, are charging a lot more money than we are. We're trying just to keep up with the market. I do have some proposed things I want to talk to you about, but this will increase our revenue by about $100,000 to $150,000 by adding that dollar to the green fee and the cart fees. Any questions on those? Another proposal for you.
New carts
Now
delivered.
we're still, part of this, and again, thank you. I keep forgetting the public needs to be informed on this, but a lot of these fees, the cart lease fees were outrageous this year when we signed a new lease. We do have new golf carts this year because they were up to be renewed, and they were almost double what they were before. So a lot of this fee increase is going to go to help pay for those new golf carts.
Thank you, Dale.
Any other questions on that?
Questions for Dale on those two?
Now, how much do we make from the golf course now? Or what is the term in the black? Is that the good?
Yeah.
Thanks, Jordan.
In the black. Our net profit I'll get that for you. I have it right here at my fingertips.
Fingertips.
Well, kind of. Our net profit this last year was $836,000 after we paid our debt service.
And we're practically full. We're full all weekend long, right?
We were full all the time. In fact, we opened Monday, which was yesterday. There was not one tee time.
We were open yesterday?
Dang. There was not one tea time to be had. Is that what you said?
They were all completely full.
Oh my God.
Our tee sheet
Amazing.
was blacked out. It was completely full.
And how about today?
I don't know. Haven't heard.
How about tomorrow?
Bet we have a,
Yeah, more
I'll bet we have a few
How
more
about
open.
tomorrow? Yeah. Before I was on the council, I've heard, the city doesn't run a profitable golf course. It's subsidized by the public, by the citizens. That's clearly not the case. And when I look at these green fees and I say, wow, they're expensive, sure, but it's a supply and demand thing. We're running a business up there, and we need to make it competitive. We need to be in the same competitive place as our neighbors, or we're going to get flooded because demand is going to outpace supply. So I think we need to be competitive. We need to run it like a business. I think we are. This makes a ton of sense to me, and I think we need to watch it every single year and make sure we're doing the right thing up there. It is absolutely a benefit to the city to have a golf course, sure, but at the end of the day, there are probably more non-residents up there than residents up there, and this is a business, and we need to run it like it. So keep up the good work up there.
Yeah, and just for your information, even with this fee increase, we are still a few dollars behind Hobble Creek and Gladstone. So, and Sleepy Ridge.
We didn't make any fee changes for our junior golfers. Our youth still golf at the same price.
We did not. None of the passes. We didn't change any of those fees. This is just strictly green fees and cart fees.
Which I will tell you, kudos to our golf course in trying to foster that important part of it. The investment that we decided to make, that Dale and Ryan came to us to petition to make for that practice area up the back, is huge for youth to be able to have a place to putt and chip and hit out of the bunker and not bother a lot of people, even if they can't go play around a golf. We are the place for juniors to come, and that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool that we're full. We're in the black, like was mentioned, and we're running a really good course that's improving every year. But it's a cool place for juniors too.
Yeah, you'll see some marked improvements when you get back out this year. We've renovated all of the sand traps. We're fixing the pond up on number 12.
Some of us will see
a free drop any longer. I have to actually.
No, this is just really soft sand.
Some of us will see that improvement more than others.
See it. You can
right?
see, Mike can
I'll
look
be
at it
hanging
from
out
a
in the
distance.
beach.
Yeah, for sure.
Others of us will play in it.
You're not supposed to hit it in there.
You're not?
Hey, there are certain elements of a golf course that are magnetic. Water features and sand traps are as solid as true north, I think. At least magnetic north.
True.
Stacey, you know what we're talking about, right?
Oh, I'm just
Chris does.
Just listening.
I'm just here to drive the cart.
Yeah.
Dale, you're on a roll. Do you want to talk about the landing fees?
You want me to talk about this now?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's good that you highlight what the golf course is making, and then with these revenues, with these increases for specific reasons, as Councilman Marshall suggested that you also have highlighted, Dale, there will be some additional revenue that comes in, and I think with the budget, next year's budget, we can target that revenue to go somewhere. The golf season is different than others. Dale's talked with you at Midway about having another assistant pro at the golf course. So he has a question about that.
Yeah, we just hired, when Jansen left, we took the opportunity to look at our organization and see if this is really the way that we want to leave it or run it. It's just become really difficult because in the last 4 years, we've increased 9,500 rounds. And for the public's sake, that's a 9-hole round is a round. So we've increased an average of 9,500 rounds each year in the last 4 years. So 4 years ago, we were doing 70,000 rounds, and now we're doing 99,300. So equate that with the number of people that are there. The business it's crazy. The phones are ringing off the hook. There's people in the clubhouse. It's really busy. And so as Ryan and I talked about this, a lot of the golf courses that are in our same scenario have gone to, rather than just an assistant pro, they've gone to a first assistant and a second assistant. And so we ran some numbers. We hired Cooper Murray away from Hobble Creek. He is our first assistant, and we would like to propose to hire a second assistant to help them. When you're running 17 hours a day, 7 days a week with those kinds of numbers, people that are just nonstop, it's really hard to cover that with 2 full-time people. We do rely a lot on college kids. A lot of them have other jobs, so they want to work 1 shift here and 1 shift there. And it really requires 2 full-time people at the counter. So we're proposing that the difference that it's actually going to cost us $21,375. That includes benefits. And the way we came to that number is Jansen obviously was a seasoned employee who was up in the range quite a bit, but we're also turning back over $20,000 in part-time money to the budget, which this person would replace. So that's the net impact to our budget if we were to hire a second assistant. And obviously, he might be okay now if it snows, but he was chomping at the bit the last couple of days saying, Dale, I need some help up here. So we're proposing to put that on as early as March 1st.
One thing I'd like to say with this, I think you targeted about $150,000 of additional revenue. I think that's a little bit low, it's conservative. Which is par for the course when they do estimates in this regard. It will probably be a little bit more than that. I don't love a growing dependence on any one revenue source, because like, what if it goes away and now we're dependent on $800,000 or $1 million coming from the golf course in the general fund outside of funding the golf course? So I'm really comfortable that the golf course is one entity in the general fund that does cover its expenses. I'm comfortable saying let's take some of the revenue that they're going to generate and fill this position. I think I'd also look to see if there's a way that we can increase some of the revenue that we're putting in the golf course CP fund to defray future golf course expenses, so it doesn't ever need to take money from the general fund again. But they can just save their own money for themselves down the road. Last year, I want to say the sand traps and other things, you spent about $120,000, give or take, on that project. That came from the CP funds. I think you have a few more that you're going to propose in this year, and we'll just put those in the CP funds. The general fund won't feel it. The savings that comes from the golf course revenue over time will pay for those things. So from a budget standpoint, I'm comfortable with this. If you're comfortable with the timing, it's a little unorthodox. It doesn't wait until July. It's not going through maybe that typical time wait, but it is one general fund operation that has a different season and has its own revenue source, which is unique for the general fund.
So these fees will go into effect when?
They will go into effect when you say for them to go into effect. I think Dale is suggesting yesterday.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. If you want to say March 1st, if you want to say April 1st, if you want to say some other time, you can pick that. I think Dale's recommendation is the sooner the better.
The $21,000 that Dale referenced, is it a FY 26 or FY 27?
I think that's an annual number.
Okay.
Because you're converting part-time wages, so it's an annual number.
So do we have the money in for the next 3-4 months?
We may not have it in this budget, but we can review that and deal with that at the last revision if we need to. But we will have the revenue for it, yes. We may not have the expenditure budgeted.
Okay. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Yes. We have the money to pay for it. We may not have identified where it comes from.
And it may not be
in the right bucket.
Budgeted, approved.
Yeah,
we can make that. We can figure that out. Yeah.
We've got the Easter egg coming up. It's not too far away. Have we had interest already from any sponsors?
Yes.
So we're just waiting to put this into effect so that we can get back to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we need.
Emily is moving and grooving with.
Sorry, but we need all these to take effect like yesterday.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't think the golf course needs to happen tomorrow. It's
I said yesterday.
Hopefully we have 7 feet of snow.
I said yesterday, not tomorrow.
No, I know.
They make cart covers. There's crazy people that put cart covers and heaters in there.
They're nuts. I guarantee they were playing today.
That's fun.
It is not fun.
Got rid of my cart.
Not as full as it was, but
sunny.
Yesterday was the last day of summer, so that's why they were hurrying to take advantage.
That's right.
That was funny, actually.
All right, Corey,
Thank you, Dale.
cover yours?
Thank you, Dale.
Thank you, Dale.
Already covered it.
I was at the golf course yesterday and it was busy.
Were you?
I was. It was beautiful though. Landing fees. I think Councilman Cardin gave a good intro into some of the thoughts behind there with the airport board. And Councilman Cardin, Councilwoman Beck, please jump in and share any thoughts you've had as part of the airport board. We have 6 months of landing fees under our belt, and we've learned a lot about those. We've also heard a lot from airport patrons, and one of the big concerns they have is fairness, which makes sense. Landing fees are a way to have user fees pay for use. It helps create fairness, but in the original fees, we looked at other airports. As we set those, we didn't have data ourselves to work off of. Now that we have 6 months, we're starting to see some things. One of the ones that jumped out to me, some of the larger aircraft, they're generating about 40% of the landing fee revenue that we've seen so far, and they're about 9% of the actual operations at the airport, which those larger planes are often going less often. They're not using the airport as much. Part of the reason the fees are more, the heavier the plane, the more wear and tear it is on the asphalt. But it feels like we've got a little bit off center there. So the fees today that are proposed from the airport board would be a $5 base fee for all planes. When an aircraft, you see that MTOW in there, that's maximum takeoff weight. So that's a FAA number that each aircraft is assigned of the maximum that it can weigh to take off. So based on that, we know what those numbers are for each aircraft, and it would be a base fee of $5 for everyone, and then for those aircraft that are over 2,000 pounds, it would be an additional $1 per 1,000 pounds. We are continuing a complimentary landing for all based aircraft. It would be one free landing per day, and those are collected as landing. So if a plane takes off from the airport and lands at the airport, that's one fee. Based aircraft are those that call Spanish Fork Airport home. They have a hangar or they have a tie-down that they've leased, and that's where they bring their plane home. Transient aircraft are those aircraft coming from other airports, landing in Spanish Fork for a day or two or whatever that case may be. For those, the proposal is one complimentary landing for all those aircraft that are under 5,000 pounds. For the aircraft that are over 5,000, just apply the regular landing fee. And then there's also a bit of adjustment for the overweight aircraft. Our pavement's designed for those planes that are less than 60,000 pounds. So as those come in, we have higher concerns about the integrity of the pavement and the asphalt through there. So that they would pay up to 60,000 pounds. The regular landing fee, which at 60,000 pounds is about $63. And then for every 1,000 pounds beyond that 60,000, they would pay an additional $5. And that's meant to discourage them from landing and beating up the infrastructure here. That's in general. We feel like this will be more fair. It will generate more revenue as well, which is something we need at the airport. We have a lot of options, I think, with different grants. Some exciting news with FAA funding that we hope we can get for a tower. We're talking to the state. We're talking to the federal about Taxiway Bravo and different things. These fees are more built to operate and help remove snow, provide maintenance, and pay for our employees that keep the airport a nice place to be. So, any questions that I can answer?
I don't have a question. I just want to let the council and mayor know that the airport board unanimously were in favor of this. We've been talking, I think, since November of how to make some adjustments and like Corey said, make it more fair. So I'm excited to see how this transpires over the next 6 months and levels out a little bit more fairly, but also brings in more money.
Yeah. So, and I should note the request is to have these start March 1st.
So Corey, I'm trying to understand it. You probably explained it and I just didn't get it. So the two complementary, I understand, whether you're based or transient, as long as you're under 5,000 or less. You get one
based aircraft for any weight.
Any weight for based. Okay. You get the one. You get the one per day.
Correct.
So if you're a based and you're under 5,000,
Your base period.
If you're based any weight,
10,000, you're free.
You're free.
for
One complimented.
for the one per day.
Yep, correct.
If it's two, if it's your second landing in a day and you're based and you're, I guess I'm looking at the build landings, transient aircraft over 5,001, MTOW, all landings build. I guess I'm not sure.
$5 plus the $1 per eight for the 8,000. So
Okay.
it'd be $13 for a landing if you were doing
8 pounds over.
Yeah,
or
8,000 pounds.
Okay.
We can clarify that perhaps,
Yeah,
Kevin, to
that's-
your point, build landings, and maybe we put transient build.
Yeah, it's just
The intent was to show that every landing for a transient will be billed if it's over 5,000
okay.
pounds.
Yeah, I think it's just the wording's throwing me off a little
We
bit
can
there.
correct that.
Okay.
To me as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Corey on this?
Same exact question.
Thank you, council members, for being there with the airport board and working on this, and Christian down there too, to get to a point where this, I think, feels like a good position at our growing airport. If there's no other questions for Dale or Corey on these, I would entertain a motion amending the fee schedule.
I move to approve the resolution amending the fee schedule.
Motion made by Councilman Took.
Second.
Second by Councilman Euler. A roll call vote here. Councilman Cardon.
Yes.
Councilman Euler.
Yes.
Councilwoman Beck.
Yes.
Councilman Marshall.
Yes.
And Councilman Took.
Yes.
Item B is approved.
Did we need any additional discussion on Dale's comments as far as the staffing requests that he had? That wasn't part of the fee schedule. I don't know that we gave him direction on that.
It's not. It really isn't a part of the fee schedule. We can, if you're comfortable with it, we can move forward with it. If you're not comfortable with it, we can wait. As I was.
You gauge our comfort level.
Pardon?
How do you gauge our comfort level?
At the moment, I gauge your comfort level as apathetically supportive.
It's pretty spot on.
21,000, yeah.
I think at 9 o'clock at night, that's about all you're going to get.
I think what I got, and I probably would be in this exact same place, is that they do generate the revenue, and it's really not that much. Probably is a better way to operate with as busy as it is. And if it's a problem in the budget, you can bring it to us and we can solve it.
You got all that from.
I do a lot of I do a lot of reading between the lines.
I'm going to go with what you said.
I will tell you what, I appreciate you
You
asking.
disagree with that, just let me know. But I try.
There's not a motion to be made.
Not a motion to be made. I don't need that. This isn't something that is motion needed. But
I appreciate the direction, and it would be one thing if it was like if we were 5-6 feet under snow, and maybe we get there. I don't know. The funny thing about that golf course is, as soon as it snows and the front nine melts before the back nine up there, there will be a full tee sheet the day that you could golf, and even though there's snow in the rough, people will be out there golfing. And that's the day that Ryan will need the second assistant, and it'll be insane. So I think it's wise to get him in place, get him trained, get him going, while maybe he has a week to breathe before we go back to summer. And we're out there getting hands on the golf course. So. Okay, if there's nothing else that needs to come before this body, I'd entertain a motion. It looks like we've got a closed meeting tonight. Is that right?
I think so.
Okay.
I move to adjourn to closed meeting for purchase, exchange, or lease of real property or water in the Explorer Room provided by Utah Code 52-4-205.
Motion made by Councilman Cardon.
Second.
Second by Councilman Euler to adjourn to closed session. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
We're excused from here. Thanks for joining us.